Give me a second. Good morning.
Good morning. Wet morning.
Good wet morning. Yes, definitely. It's kind of nice, but we have a leak in our garage right over our dryer,
Oh, no.
and we forgot to put the bucket out last night. Hey, as long as we put the bucket, but every now and then the bucket. Yeah, so we did some mopping up this morning. Oh well. Yeah.
We've got one right up in this skylight in the kitchen that only certain storm directions,
Yeah.
we get a little puddle.
Yeah, it all depends. It's untraceable. We have done everything to the roof above our dryer. It's like a little extra room. People up there, we've done everything. It just there's that leak will not stop. And as long as we put a bucket on top of the dryer, we're fine. It's like
Yeah,
I give up, right?
you can see our tarp from space.
Yeah. No, we don't have it tarped. We just put a bucket,
Yeah,
because the
yeah,
kind of it's funny. But our garage does have, in big storms, the water puddles up in the driveway and leaks through under the garage door. So we have to just in case put things out. It's someone, whoever built that garage, man, they messed it up because the only things in the whole house are in the garage. But we put sandbags there. Hopefully all is good.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So hi everyone. Hi Karen. Hi Stan. Hi Sarah. Hi Gary and Vera, who is computerless, whose computer is out at the doctor's. Anyway, all right. So hopefully everyone else is dry, other than my dryer and Stan's kitchen. And let's get going. Let me put this up there and this one up there. Here we go. All right. So, uh, so sorry to say, but today's our last class, which I love teaching Illustrator and it makes me sad, but oh well. Um Hopefully let me share my screen. Put the code for the Padlet in there first. Hopefully you've had, there we go. There's the Padlet link. Hopefully you've had time to write in the chat. And I'm gonna add a little good morning to the chat myself. And now I'm gonna share the Padlet. There we go. And so I see yesterday and saw Stan added some more um, gradients, but the rest is from last week, and it's just the gradients and everything I've been doing. I just thought I'd point out, look at this cute guy, cool cat, like he calls him, that Moni made with our little lions. So using the same things, she just put a freeform pad, gradient down there, added some little glasses, curved up his face, and there you go. Cutie pie. So in this assignment, there's also a feature with effects. I'm going to show it to you really quickly. So we're going to open that guy just because I didn't get around to showing it to you yesterday, but I'm not going to focus on effects today. For the most part, I'm showing it to you also because one of the things we're going to do today, maybe we can apply some effects to. So unless you have any questions about gradients or color from last week, which you're welcome to have, but if you don't have questions, then let's get going with Illustrator. And I'm going to open the same file that we used last week, and it should be there like in your recently, if you when you first open your Padlet over here, it shows you the last few things you've been working with. And so if you haven't moved it from that spot in your computer, right, then that works to open a file. Otherwise you have to go back and open it wherever it came from. So this is the one that we were using, and I'm going to back out and give me a yes when you have found it. I need to place you guys at the top where I can see you. You might notice that I changed the camera. So now when I look up at you guys, I actually look like I'm looking at you. And then I'm looking down at my computer, which is better. Before I was like, eh. I have this floating camera now that sticks on a stick. Okay, give me a yes once you have that file open and ready to go. And cool.
Deanna,
Yep.
I missed the last maybe half an hour of class, so I don't have all of the gradients.
Okay.
You have all the lions.
Well, that's fine. Open the lines, and then whenever we get to the gradients, you'll get to, do that with the recording. I don't want to get into gradients again. So the gradients don't matter at all. All I need is the lines for this that I'm about to show you. So you are perfect, meaning you're perfectly placed for the work we need to do right now. I am moving something over here. All right. I'm trying to put the calendar up on this computer because when I have it on this one, I don't get to see what's happening with the time. Okay, now I have it there and I have it at a glance. Okay. So we're going to focus on the first artboard, but the one that hasn't been modified in color. But even if it's been modified in color, I don't care at all. Whatever happened to color. That was last week. Right now, we're going to do some effects on these mains, and we're going to open up our layers because we have so much going on, and we're going to find the first mains. So over here, this is the second set, the one where we did all of the gradients, and then at least if you have it laid out like me, the mains were separated on its own over there. And notice that I am locking everything else from that, right? So that if I go ahead and touch anything here, the only thing that moves is the mains. All right. So when you're set with that and ready to go, then let me clear my answers again. And when you're set with that and ready to go, give me a yes. Hi, Moni. I was
Good
just
morning.
a lot of fun with your groovy cat.
Oh, thanks. I had fun.
Showing him around. But basically we for just a few minutes, I want to show effects. I'm going to do that on last week's cats or lions. So we're reopening this file. I just want to talk effects, something that you've already used.
Okay.
And then we're going to move on to something where I did want you to know about effects, and that's why I'm glad that we're doing it. But yeah, so I'm waiting for yeses. Stan, did you find it? Karen. Oh, Karen, you gave me a yes on that one. All right. So Stan, you good? You found you're muted. You're still muted. I see your mouth moving. You're still muted, so it doesn't help me.
We're locking which ones? Faces?
Just the mains. Oh, we're locking faces and background, and if you want to lock the other page too, just leave the mains from the first page opened up,
Okay.
unlocked, so that no matter what you touch or do, the only thing that moves is the mains. Okay, and then we'll be good. All right, whoops, back here. All right, so I'm going to zoom in to the first few mains. And this is a feature that you find in a couple of different places. But first of all, we're going to be in our selection tool. I don't know where you might still be in gradients, depending on if you've used Illustrator or not in between. Let's select the first main. And hold on, Paula's arriving. Just tell her what we're doing. Hi, Paula.
Hi.
So let me just catch you up on what we're doing and then I'm going to continue. But just so you know, we're using the same file that we used last week and we're just going to do some work on the first page. But in order to do it on that first page, when you open the layers, you got to lock everything else and leave the mains unlocked. That's it. And then when you're there, you can join us for what we're doing next. Okay. So here we go. Selecting the first main. Once you select it with your selection tool, okay, so we're at the selection tool, then here on the appearances, you see something that says effects. There's a couple different places to get effects, and they are different types of effects, right? But here you have an F and an X out of the appearance, stroke, and quality. So let's figure out what these ones are. When you click on that effects, you have many choices of effects. Notice that the top ones say Illustrator effects and the bottom ones say Photoshop effects. They're a little bit different. We're not going to be using Photoshop effects right now for this. We're going to be focusing on just a couple of these, but in particular, the ones I want to show you rather to begin with are these that are called distort and transform. And so I'm going to go down to like roughen, for example. For now, just do the same one. Then you can play with others, but let's all go to roughen. And immediately see how his main has roughened. Now it happens to be a main, so this makes sense. It could be any shape, right? And then when that box opens up, you have the choice to see how much or how little you want that roughness to be and how detailed you want it to be. Okay. You can make sure the points are very smooth or that they're a bit sharper. So those are the choices you have. Make sure you have your preview turned on in case it's not. Now that's relative versus absolute. Absolute, depending on the shape will make a difference. And these kind of shapes that are circles doesn't make a difference except for you have to have smaller numbers for relative. And then when you go to absolute, then you would have to go to bigger numbers, but it doesn't matter. The end result is the same. You know what I mean? So, yeah, play around with that a little bit. And then since we're at it and I'm being proactive this time, let's get a screenshot of our first effect before I forget to get screenshots. And head over to the screenshots and let's put one, I'm going to explain where we got this from, and then we're going to play with other effects with the different mains, right? So this one is, and I'm going to show you other places to get the effects from. Oh, affing. Clearly I moved in my adding effects, which shows up as FX on the lion's mains. For this one, we chose roughen. Oh, but that's not what matters. After selecting the shape, we went to the appearance panel and chose the FX that shows up under the, oh, uppercasing it. Well, never mind. I'm going to leave it because I don't want to rewrite it under the opacity option. Okay. So I'm not really trying to yell at you, but it does look as if I yelled at you. It's okay. All right, so there's my little main, and hopefully you guys are publishing your little mains. And then I'm going back to Illustrator. Okay. Good. So now for that one, I'm going to say okay. I'm going to get the second one and we can try a different one, but I want to show you a different place. I mean, where you can get those effects, the distort and transform effects, not all of them, but the distort and transform effects can be gotten from a couple of other places, including, oh, I'm in my beginners panel. So in the beginners getting started or whatever, it's not showing me the effects tool. Well, there you go. There's a tool when you're in a different workspace. So I think in the Essentials or in the Essentials Classic, at least for sure. And that way you begin to see a few other other panels, but in the Essentials Classic, when you go to this one here, you have warp, twicker, pucker, bloat, scallop, crystallize, wrinkle. In fact, roughen isn't there, but there's others. And the reason I'm showing them you to here, in case you do use this, is because they work a little bit differently. Say I'm going to go to the wrinkle tool, the bottomest one. Then instead of getting that box that we got before, we actually do it by hand. So I don't know if you can tell that I have a circle here on my mouse. So just watch this. And then when you click and drag, you get to choose where that is going to happen. So I have my wrinkle tool on right now, and I can choose where, and the longer I hold down, the more it wrinkles. The longer I hold down. Of course, this one works up and down, but it on the sides, it's a little bit weird. So where did I get this again? And I went to the Essentials Classic workspace, and you can't see it here because here. I went to the Essentials Classic workspace. I'm sure it's in some other. And then on the left side, there's so many tools, and the one that shows up at first is this one that looks a bit like a little iris, like a little flower, like a tulip, I guess. I don't know, whatever, it looks like that. When you hover over it, click and hold, there's a bunch of tools there. And that's the one I chose, the wrinkle tool. And I go to the crystallize tool now, and in and out, and that one's a bit bizarre, but depending if you're moving it in or out. I'm gonna undo that because it's going a bit crazy there, but just to show you that depending on the shape, depending on whatever it has. So this is the scalloping tool. Anyway, by the time you get out of there and click away, so it looks a little bit more like hair. How funny. Anyway, so don't necessarily need to use those much more than knowing where to find them because they operate a bit differently. If you've managed to set it up to find that setup, please give me a yes to use one of those shapes. I'm gonna the twirl tool here is kind of fun. And again, it's how much you hold on to it. If I do a quick little tip, you got a little wave there. If I click and hold, it keeps, going. So it's about how long you hold it down. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna hopefully get a yes from you guys. Karen, did you find those? Stan?
I put it on Essentials, but I don't see the tool that looks like a flower.
Yeah, so go down to, it's not Essentials, it's Essentials Classic.
Let me see, I think I did do Essentials Classic. Essentials.
Okay, so then
Yeah, I'm on Essentials Classic, yeah.
okay, so then as you head over, do you have a double-headed row or a
Yeah, I do.
double-headed row? Okay. So then if you have the double-headed row, it's right here. Like there. And it might be that it's on a different one. I don't know, but that's under the rotate. There it is.
It says width on it.
Yeah, that's the one. Click and hold
Oh, okay, that's what threw me off. Okay.
a bunch. Okay. Now, the width one in this case doesn't make any difference, but it's a really good one and I want to show it to you. So let's choose the next main. Okay, so I'm going to go first to the selection tool. You got to choose the main. Let's add a stroke to this main. I'm going to go ahead and the width one is an important one to know. So I'm going to add a stroke to this main. I'm going to make it a color that, let me add it, I don't know, blue, very different than whatever is here. So it's very visible. And let's make it a few, I don't know, 4 points at least so that we can see it. Okay. I'm going to zoom into that line and let me show you the width tool first, you guys. So the width tool is the first one of that whole little pile. The stroke is 4-point stroke and it's pretty set. But this tool, look what it does. I can grab that stroke from any part or place of it and I can make it be different and I can modify my stroke now. I can make it be really wide in places, really tiny. Right? I can just move it in and out. So basically it's the strokes width tool, which applies to a bunch of other of the tools when we were drawing. Whenever there's a stroke, you could have been using this tool. And that's why I'm showing it to you. Now we're going to go back to the different, anyway, So there you go. Anytime there's a stroke, you can modify the width. You can make it almost disappear from anywhere, and you can make it big, so you can have some pretty funky things going on there. Okay, so if you've managed to do the width tool, give me a yes. So this is a bit of a show and tell, showing you a couple of tools that you can then play around with, right? Which is why this lion's exercise was made for. I do these other things with it, but this was originally for changing these lion's manes. But it helps me give you a little tour of just weird stuff that can happen. Now, notice that when I go to view this as an outline, all I see is a circle, because the stroke is just an effect to the path. Okay, so don't know why it matters so much to tell you that, but it's like if I try to grab this this shape and do something to its edge, for example, here, as if it were a shape that finishes there. Like if this is an actual shape that finishes there, I can work on it, that circle. But this one, I can't. If I want to work on this shape, I have to do it with a width tool. Otherwise, I can work on the circle itself. But to work on the circle itself, we have to go back to the tools that we have used before, the path tool, the white tool, add paths to it to then modify the actual circle itself. Does that make sense? Now, if I go to my view, my circle is what I'm changing, as opposed to the effect on the stroke. Does that make sense what I'm saying? It's two different creatures. And if it doesn't, don't matter too much. Sometimes I have to give some things for some of the more advanced people to know. So I can modify the actual, like I left him look like a bit of a devil, huh? So right now I'm using the curvature tool to add paths to that circle, which originally would have had only a few, and then modify it that way. So if you do that, then when you and I did it using the outline view so that I could really see what my circle was, because when I was in the regular view, it was hard to tell with that stroke what was shape and what was stroke. Does that make sense? So now that was a bit of each that I did. So where did I do that again? I went up to view, where you see view outline or view preview. And we've done this for something earlier on. Someone was asking someone had it in this mode, and we ended up discovering that it was bad. How to get rid of it. And that's how I had shown you the outline preview. But this is an example where it really helped me find that circle and then use just that tool on the circle itself to change it. And then I was able to modify it enough, just a little, so that those strokes are working on top of it, not only on a circle, but on a shape that isn't a circle anymore, the width tool. Okay? So it all adds up. Okay. Let me clear your answers in case there's any question about that. Were you able to modify the mane itself to turn it into, so for example, if I were to take the stroke effects off right now and go back to selecting that shape and make all my stroke back to being 4 points, right? Then what's left is the fact that I did change my shape, and that the stroke is still a different width. It's big and fat and big and fat, big and skinny, but it is not the full effect that I had before. So I'm going to Command Z because I did like the big one, but just showing you how we can keep modifying that thing to our heart's content with different shapes. All right. And of course, I'm doing them one on one, but you could be doing this with many of those at a time. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next one. If there's no questions, were you all able to shape that circle, reshape the circle with the curvature tool, and then see the stroke applied to the reshaped? Gary, you're good with that? Stan? Yeah.
Yeah.
Paula,
I know
did
I
you
just-
catch up? Checking in on you to see whether you caught up, Paula?
Yes.
All right. Okay.
The second line, I didn't, what tool did you use on that? Was that the warp tool?
No, I went to the shape itself. Imagine this is a circle, and I just used the curvature tool to modify the circle. It's just that since
Oh, okay, on that
it
second
had
one,
it had already
okay.
been modified by the width tool, so it was a bit harder to tell. So I went into outline view so that I could distinguish the circle to do it because I couldn't really see it anymore, but now I can, so all is good. You know what I mean? Since I had already made widths and stuff, it was hard to tell which one was the change, and so now I'm moving on to the next one, but that was it. All right, so let's select the next main, and so other than here, and there's tons of different effects there, let me just show you one other place where you can get the effects. And in fact, if you can't see it, I'll share my entire window, but if you can, again, go up where you see window, view, effect, and there you go. One whole menu is dedicated to effects, and you see how these are basically these effects that are here, right? So here we have a series of effects, and when you go to the whole effects panel, it's the same ones. Photo Illustrator on top, Photoshop effects underneath. But the first two, and this is an Adobe thing, Photoshop does it too, is just a repeat of what you've already done. So remember that we did an effect called roughen at the beginning. And if we now were to say apply roughen, it'll give you the exact same effect as the one you left. So if you look at it, it's identical, okay, to whatever or it should be identical unless I kept moving that one. So it's a repeat what you already did. Repeat.
Deanna, when you're showing us pulling down from the bar above, we're not seeing those. We're
That's what
seeing
I'm
the
saying.
result, but
I
not
got
the.
that. Oh, you're not seeing even the panel. Okay, so then I will share my entire screen. Thank you. I thought you saw my window. Okay, got it. I thought sometimes when I show here, you don't see the words, but you see the panel pop up, but you weren't even seeing the panel. Okay, so now I'm sharing my entire window. So here it is. Effect is what I'm saying. It's the same two sets as of filters as you had there. But on top of that, at the very top, that's just is repeat the last one. You know how the other day we moved something to make the bats raise, and then we did Command D to repeat that last movement, and then we got the ray to go all the way around. That was a repeat, and this is the repeat for an effect, right? So the last one I made was roughen, and because what we did with width and whatever wasn't considered an effect, so that's the last one. So you go up there and you do the last one, and there it is. It appears again. But I'm going to undo that because I didn't want the same one, just showing you that that panel is over there. So this time, instead of choosing it from the effects panel, I'm going to choose it from instead of choosing it from down here in the appearance panel, I'm going to go straight to the effects. Distort and transform. Again, these, I'm going to just do one more, but they're identical. Okay. And you get to keep playing or not with this guy. Have some funky effects. I'm going to say okay to that one. So by now we have many different effects going on. This one being yellow, I made it so thin against that green isn't going to look well. Very good. So let me make it a, nope, not even. Bright pink. What color? I'm going to choose one of these are all too subtle. I think I'm going to end up having to go with that yellow. Yeah, that pink works better than the yellow. And maybe I need thicker rays, but anyway. Okay. So guys, this is how I get up in the morning. This is why I like this, this assignment so much. It's very personal to me. Okay. I don't know because you can tell because some of you don't know me because ever since I've been teaching hair, but look at my hair. Okay. This is like, yeah, these curls in the morning, it's a disaster. Anyway, all right, let's go to this next one. And now I'm going to show you a few of the other effects that are not the ones that are under. So let me reshare just this so it becomes a bit smaller. And what are these other effects that are here? Well, you can play with quite a few of them, but the one I want to show you right now is warp. Okay. And actually, it doesn't matter which one you choose to start with. I'm going to choose the first one, the arc, because the warp option tool pops in. Okay. And then when you go over here, I have all my choices. So let me show you that again. When you go to the effects warp, all of these, you don't need to choose the right one, just open one of them and then you get access to all of them in this little tool. Okay. So it doesn't matter which one you decide to start with. But yeah, so whatever shape you have, and this will really depend on the shape you're selecting. We've got a circle, right? Which is kind of hard to warp. And yet you can begin to see that you can warp it in one direction or another. If this were a line, it would be even more impressive. You can go horizontal or in a vertical, right? You can do these weird shapes to it.
Jana, a quick question. Did you ungroup all the mains?
My mains in the first one weren't grouped. Hold on.
Oh, I'm doing in the second board.
Yeah, in the first board, I had them ungrouped, but if not, just ungroup them. Yeah.
Okay.
Second board, ungroup them. It doesn't matter. Okay, back to getting my warp. So a circle of all things is a bit harder to warp, but as you can see, you can get some automatic warps happening already that are a little bit weird or strange, and you can have some fun. And then after that, once you get the warp that you have, then you can keep playing around with it and keep moving it into different directions until you get the, a warp that makes sense to you. Try this out with other shapes and you'll get different results. I like that's a fun little hairdo for this guy. Of course, then I could apply another effect. So I'm going to show you now applying two. So over here it says effect, warp, twist. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to my original distort and transform, and I'm going to give it, let me try what a twist will do. What's a twist? Oh, a twist just moves, okay, just as the angle. I had not tried that one before. Okay, I don't go when I twist. So let me head over here, distort and transform, and let me give it, what is tweak? There we go. So we're going to tweak this one a little bit. There we go. Now he looks like I just got up from bed. That's what my hair looked like this morning. Okay. All right. Okay. So just showing you a couple of different things. The pucker and bloat is pretty boring. It's just, but it also works. Now I'm going to show you the other choices that are here, which aren't necessarily that well applied to a circle. It all depends, but I'm going to go to stylize and we can do a little drop shadow. And this begins to be something that seems less vector. Actually, it's hard on the blue one to do the drop shadow. Let me make a lighter color so you can see the drop shadow better. See how it extends outside of the shape? Now, of course, on an animal like this, it looks weird that the neck isn't drop shadowed and stuff, but that's okay. We're just looking at the different effects that are available. And that was over here under stylize. I could actually feather it, and I'm going to say okay. And oh, I guess it's to this shape it won't apply well. Feathering. Yeah, so look what happened over here. I put two of that same stylize effects, and when I try to get to it, it says the selection contains multiple effects. Open the appearance panel for details, right? So it just means that they want you to go into the entire panel. So this is how you would open the entire appearance panel, these three little dots. And then when I open it, I'm beginning to see all my different effects applied, the drop shadow and the feather. So I'm going to go back into the feather and I'm going to make it be much more obvious. And there we go. Suddenly, without the drop shadow, that would be just a very gentle, let me turn off the drop shadow. Why isn't the drop shadow turning itself off though? Huh. Let me, I don't want the drop shadow. I'm going to grab it and delete it for a second. Oh, but the feather is still making itself have a drop shadow. I'm gonna undo, undo, undo to see why is the drop shadow still there. Okay, now I'm gonna just feather this without the drop shadow for a second. Because yeah, that's what I was hoping for. So I just wanted to show you that yes, these are vector files, but some of these effects allow us to have something that is I mean, technically it doesn't even look like a vector file, right? Let me go in, and if this were a lighter color. Oops. Let me go from there, just so you can see it better than in the blue. See how it truly is giving us a drop down effect of that solid color that we've had up until now. Not a nice color for it, but just so you can really see. It's not a gradient. I'm not filling it with a gradient, which I could have done a radial gradient that ends in no color. Remember? Let's see if we can try to imitate that with a gradient, just as a practice for gradients, and then I think it's time to move on. I'm going to select this main over here, and I'm going to try to imitate that feathering. Hi, Shelley. Thanks for joining us. Just to catch up for a second, and we're almost done with this if you want to just watch, because we're going to move on to something else. But if you want to catch up, we've been doing effects on these mains, and I'm showing different ways to do that. I know I've shown some mains in the past, but I'm actually showing some more effects. You guys are a very fast group. I don't have to explain so much. So I'm able to show you this class. I've been able to show you more details and more things than other times, so I'm really excited about. Anyway, we just created this little feather gradient. I'm going to try to, no, sorry, feather effect, not a gradient, but we could have imitated something like that with the gradient things that we were last week. So I'm going to select this guy and I'm going to make a gradient, and that way it's a bit of a practice on the gradients. And since you just did gradients, maybe you can try to do that. I'm going to select the gradient tool over here on the left side, and we can go back to the tools we had before, and the gradient tool is still there, down other by color. Okay, if we leave the classics, the essential classics that we were just in, the gradient tool is still there. And then when I go with the gradient tool here on the sides, I'll see all the choices for my gradients. Okay, and if I make this be a radial gradient, okay, then I can choose the colors, and I'm going to make the outer circle, the one that's black, I'm going to make it go all the way to 0%. And then I'm going to make the inner gradient be whatever that brighter color that I have next. I make it be kind of white. Okay, and then I'm going to make the gradient be moving outwards. So it's not the same, but see how I managed to get a bit of that effect, similar effect to that one. Of course, it's a different color. Okay, if I move this over here, it's pretty much that same effect, but with the gradient. But most of the other effects can't be done with a gradient. This is the only one. So so the only difference is that the radial, even when you go to 0, it still gives you a bigger line. See, when I bring it over here, let me move away, there's still a sharper line on the gradient. Let me put them next to each other. See how this gradient still has the sharper line versus the feather really disappears, the edge disappears. Okay, so to both effects, if you want something to completely disappear, the feather effect is more efficient, more effective than this gradient. Anyway, so much for that one. That's it. And then since we have one more main, let me just show you one more, but then after that, it's up to you to play with all these effects. So, Shelly, where we're just locked everything else down. We're going to the first set of mains, and down here, if you select one main under the appearance panel, and I showed 4 other places to get different effects from, but you can watch that in the recording. But the one I'm using right now last is from the effects panel, and we've gone through a couple different ones, and I don't want to do any of those. I pretty much showed you most of them, but here's one that's kind of funky, the stylized scribble. I kind of like it in that you can do some bizarre stuff with it too. Oh, a bit too little. Let me go. I don't know, some funky stuff. And here I can move the angle in which that works. You can have it be more or less open. So now there we go. I've made a little bit of it's just another fun one. So where I got that one, that was from Effects, Stylize Scribble. Okay. I showed you the drop shadow and the feather. Inner outer glow, you can play around with some of those. I can grab one of the other ones and now give it a little outer glow. It all depends on, yeah, it all depends on the color you're on. There, I'd had to change that blend anyway. It's a bit like a drop shadow, only it's everywhere instead of, drop shadow would only be at the bottom right. Okay, play around with them, have some fun. I want to move on to something completely different. But now, first, before we move on, I want to see all of your guys's work on these funky mains. And let me give this last one something else. I'm gonna pucker and bloat this one to make it into a little flowery shape, and it's the one that I made that last gradient. And there we go. Different color. I was trying to imitate that one, so that's why I did that, but it's an ugly color. So let me make it be gradating into blue or pink or something. All right, cool. I don't know why I really care. We're about to leave it, but now I'm gonna screen shoot all. No, I still have my selection tool on that. I'm gonna unselect that. Okay. So now I'm gonna do that screenshot. And if there's any questions, please let me know. Other than that, please post your funky mains and keep working with it and have some more fun. Added effects from the appearance panel. And from the Essentials Classic, we chose the effects tool for width and twirl. We also chose the scribble and the feather and drop shadow from the stylize choice. And then I forgot to put with the added effects from the appearance panel, such as roughen and roughen and what was the other one that we used? Crystallize, etc. We did so many. From the Essentials Classic, we chose the effects tool. We also chose the scribbler from the stylized choice. Okay, that gives you a bit of an idea. I think there's a few more that we used, but that kind of reminds you where to go get the stuff from. All right, let me look and see some of your mains. Cool. It's fun. Next one. There you go. Look at that little lightning effect you got there on that one. Was it the zigzag one or anyway, that's a cute one. Oh, so who was this? Sarah. So you did them outside of the mains. Okay.
For whatever reason, I had to drag them outside to be able to see them. I think it was just the order that they were stacked.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why.
Oh, no, what? You must have a double. Okay. No, but this is important actually. Since you're not, remember that I always ask you to share the
Mhm.
which in this case I didn't do either. I just gave us the effects because I didn't think there was much to see. But you probably have this one duplicated. When we did the duplicates before, maybe you left this one, you have two of these. So you were selecting, or you unlocked the one that was under, and this top one is on top, and that's why you had to drag it out to see it. So go and check your layers to see if you can find a version of this that's higher up than this one, which is laying on top of them, and turn that off, and then you'll see the original one. Although now their mains are somewhere else, but there you go. If you want to share your screen for a second, I can help you with that.
Uh, sure.
Not because that is an important thing. So I do want you to get that one to know how to.
Oh, it says I
Oh,
can.
Sorry. I had to stop my share for you to share. There you go. Try again.
Okay.
Okay. A second. I'm trying to just notice that I still had a set of headsets that we don't need for this class on me. So I need to move them out of the way. I was organizing things on my desk and I have cables galore everywhere, and I'm trying to move them out so that I can access this one. There we go. All right, so yeah, so turn this, oh, let me get my pencil tool. Okay, turn this one off for a second. Okay, so that's the one you just made, right? So
Mhm.
there must be up here, you must have under faces, turn off the faces. Yeah, now turn on these mains again. Yeah, so you must have a second set of mains under faces, right? There they are. Oh, well, I don't know because it's circles, so I don't know where they are, but one of those must be your, see all those circles and stuff? Well, you're
Yeah.
locked right now, so you can't, I told you to lock them.
Okay. I think I understand the premise though, that I've just duplicated it.
Basically, you have another set of mains in there that needs to be gone, and then these could have happened on the right spot. But anyway, just so you know how to search for stuff by turning it on and off, you'll go, oh, that's where they are. Okay,
Thank you.
cool. You're welcome. Okay. Everyone's good with their mains, and you all posted them, and that's effects. Okay, so now we're gonna work with text. And at some point when I'm showing you how to modify text, guess what? You're welcome to apply effects to that text, okay? Or to any shape. So that as long as it's an available shape. So funny, many times I use the star tool. This time I haven't shown you guys the star tool at all. So people who've only taken this class would think the star tool doesn't exist. But anyway, let's head over back to Illustrator. Let's turn this off. We're done with this assignment, this tool, this file. So save it and close it. And then we're going to create a new one. And this new one, we're going to leave it be our typical 5x5. Actually, yeah, that's fine. Let's say create. Was anyone here in my digital design techniques class this week? No, okay. Because
Only
normally
Monday.
there's a lot of overlap between digital design techniques and Illustrator. You guys are,
I was.
oh, you were there, Paula. Okay. So we did some work with text in InDesign. But I barely showed a little bit in Illustrator. So now we're going to do some of that work, and some of it replicates itself in Illustrator and as an InDesign, but some of it is completely different. And text, Illustrator is a very important place to work with text, because if you want to make logos, they many times have text. If you want to make a logo that isn't just a written text, if you want to modify it in any way or another, you need to be able to modify text. And so that's what we're going to do. So let's get over to the type tool. And right now in this mode, which is like the starter mode or whatever it's called in Illustrator, there's only two tools. And for some reason, the important one is the second one, which is bizarre that it shows up that way. I'll show you what the first one is in a minute, but that's kind of strange. But it's the bottom one that we want. Now, if you click and hold on this type tool, there's a couple of other versions of tools. I just want the straight old type tool. And even the straight old type tool works two very different ways depending on how you do. If you do a click and drag or if you do a click, it works very differently. So we're going to start by doing just a click, tick. And as soon as you click, the text comes out looking weird. First of all, it says lorem ipsum, which is a placeholder text. It's a Latin piece of text that's used as placeholder text, and that's why it looks like text, but it's incomprehensible. It's also selected. What do I mean by selected? It's that highlight, the black is because it's highlighted, and that's why you see it in white, because it's selected, it shows it to you in opposite mode. Go ahead and leave the type tool for a second and go back to regular selection tool. And that's the text that we just wrote. Okay. It's just the words lorem ipsum in black with no background. But when we first wrote it, when you first do that, it shows up in its opposites because it's assuming you're going to replace those words with something else. Now, let's go ahead and replace those words by writing whatever comes at the top of our head and to keep writing and writing. So now I'm going to write the, because I had left that tool. I'm sorry. I didn't have it selected anymore. Let me undo. I'm going to do that again. So now I'm writing whatever comes. Make some typos, please. Okay. Comes, there I left the W, into my head, and I'm going to have no space, into my head. And I'm going to keep writing a lot. Okay. And keep going until you leave the page, right? So I wanted to show you what happens with this type of text. Now, after you're done writing, go back and select your selection tool. So now this is, hopefully you've made some typos and stuff. And most importantly, you kept going and you see that this text, as opposed to just about every computer text we've ever used, we are accustomed to it wrapping at the end of the page, automatically going under, right? Well, this point type is what happens when you just simply click. It does not respect regular rules of grammar. I'm going to come back to it for a minute, but let me show you the other type of text that we can have. Choose the same type tool. And now down here, we're going to click and drag and make a box that will hold our type. And when I let go, it fills with lorem ipsum text again. This time we're going to leave it, so we're not going to write our own, but we're going to go and select our selection tool again, and boom, there we go. Now we have a bunch of paragraph line kind of tool. And we're going to compare these two, starting by the bottom one, which moment I select it has a bounding box or frame around it. And all these lines, don't touch these antenna things, just the lines themselves. You have to go to the corner points, right? To the four corners. So I'm going to go to this one and I'm going to click and drag and make it smaller. And the text redraws. And if we could understand what it says, we'd notice that it is redrawing correctly. It's actually pushing it down and pushing it up. So we're getting the first paragraph is getting fatter and fatter. Now if I go from the bottom up, I just cut out the text that I don't have. And when you cut out the text that you don't have, something else happens. I'm going to move up again, but hopefully you made a big enough box to have quite a bit of text. Now,
Deanna, I'm having a problem with it saying that you must click on a non-compound, non-masking path to create a text inside a path. So what am I doing wrong?
must have something else going on. I don't want a path. Have you gone to any path making? Let me see. Share your screen.
As far as I know.
But share your screen. Let me see why you're getting that message.
Okay. Yeah, finally, okay. Okay. So I go to it.
Oh, because you're not choosing the right one. Remember I told you the second one is the one that's the
Well, okay, it wasn't the
No, no,
first
no,
one that
stop.
we.
No. The second type tool, that one. Yeah. So that's the one.
Oh, okay, because I
Third
thought
one is weird. It's weird that it's first because it's a weird tool. There you go. Now
I mean, I used the first one. I thought you were flipping us to the second one. That's why I was looking at that.
no. It's a different way of using that same type tool. It has two ways of being used. One has area type, which is what you just did, and the other one was the point type, which is the top.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. I'm always looking at my screen and then
Yeah.
I thought you had clicked on your screen on the first one
Yeah,
there.
no, it's this, thanks for asking, and perfect reason to call out and interrupt, because that's a very important distinction. So it's the same type tool that if you click, it does one thing, and if you click and drag, it does another. Okay. So it's two, and then but now we're not on the type tool anymore. We are working on these two types of type. And now, I'm going to show you a little bit more why they're different. This is text as we know it, so to say. I'm going to make it bigger from the top now. And as you can see, once that placeholder type, it doesn't keep generating itself. Whatever you made is what you have. So if you made a small box per chance at the beginning, delete it, grab that again, and make a bigger box, because I want you to have a lot of type for this exercise that I'm going to show you next, because it doesn't just keep making itself. If you made a little box, then you just can't like get any more. You know what I mean? So delete it, go to the type tool again, and this time make as big as you can of a box with text. Okay. So now we have that initial line and this box with a lot of text. Give me a yes if you're there. If you have a one-liner and a lot of text, like filling the 5x5-ish. Okay, good. Let me clear your answers. And now I'm gonna go ahead and start with the bottom one and mention how, once again, this is considered type as we know it, as grammar, lines, points. If you, as I said, if you make it smaller from the right side, it kind of redraws your text. So let's make it about, I don't know, half the size or something like that. And then let's bring it from the bottom. Whoops, not from the bottom thing, but from the actual, you have to actually click on that little guy there. And let's bring it in like that. Now we have this small box of text, but what happened to the rest of it? Well, the rest of the text is still there. In fact, if I were to open up, it's still there. It's when I make it bigger than all the text I have that I got nothing, which is why I had you make a little box, a bigger box. But all the text that's missing is collected in that little red box right there, which is holding all that text in its little container waiting for me to do. So I'm going to make this be actually a little bit more like that. And I'm going to click on that little box with the tip of my mouse. Okay, the very, very, very tip of your mouse has to click in there. And boom, I have picked up some text, which is all that overset text. It's called text that's outside of the box that we can see. And now I'm going to click and drag and make another box. And this text follows that text. But it's not all, because I had a big box of text, and then over here, I can pick up even more text, and I can make another little box with more text, and that follows that text. I still have more, but I'm not going to pick up the rest. I'm going to work with these three. I'm going to go back to make sure that you're in your type tool, in your selection tool, in case you haven't, and watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to select that middle box. See how these are three boxes? I'm going to select that middle box. And I'm going to go to the fill. And I'm going to make it be bright pink. Now, Paula, you were in my digital design techniques class. It's a little bit different in InDesign. We had to select that text. If you in InDesign, if you select one box and make it pink, all the text goes pink. It's a little bit different. Okay. So when you're here, when you got this, give me a yes. Stan and Paula. Oops, Paula just Stan.
I didn't catch how I'm not able to select the little pink box.
Okay. So with your mouse and your selection tool, not in your type tool, you see that little red box, and you have to put the very tip of your, it's kind of hard sometimes to get it, but right when you'll see when you finally touch it, your arrow will have that little box underneath it. And in
Oh.
that moment you click and there it fills with text.
Got it.
Okay, cool. And as long as you keep having extra text, you can keep having that. Okay,
Thank you.
so then you click and drag and make another box and make another box. The reason I painted one of them pink, it's not necessarily that important, but it helps visually to see that now I'm going to make this box even smaller, the top one. When I make it smaller, now you can really see that that text that didn't fit moved down. And if it moved down into that, then the pink had to move down into that one. Does that make sense? Because I made it smaller versus if I make it actually bigger, then some of that pink moved up to the top one. And if that moved up to the top one, then more of this comes into the bottom one. Does that make sense, you guys? It just moves, the text keeps wrapping and rewrapping itself in whatever way it needs until it fills it fills itself up. Okay, so now I'm going to get this one be really tiny and then it goes down there. So these are called threads and it's showing you. Now the threads are important because if you mistake at some point in the design, begin to do that, and you click away, you wouldn't understand maybe that that text is supposed to be read in that direction and in that direction, right? So that's why when you see the threads, you're like, whoops, I messed up. That one has to be underneath and the threads need to follow each other. Sometimes the text you're writing makes sense and you wouldn't make that mistake, but sometimes you're writing in a different language or God, there used to be a time in my life when I translated technical manuals. This is not when I was a designer, I was an interpreter. I was a translator interpreter for many years. I don't know if you remember, but I'm from Argentina and I put myself through college as an interpreter in the courts, interpreter. And yeah, sometimes you're working with languages that you don't really understand as well. And then when I started designing, I was good at designing multilingual documents because I was good with different languages. So I've had to do that sometimes where you're just like, okay, I depend upon the translators of, Russian who gave me this text. I still have to design it, but I don't know what it means. So something like threads really matters. That makes sense so that you don't mess up whatever it's supposed to say in there. Okay. So now let's leave two of those boxes, delete the last box. I'm going to show you one more thing with that. And then after that, I'm going to go and focus on this one because this is what we're going to use for the rest of the day. This is just text type. If you work in InDesign or even in Photoshop, this is all the same. Now let's go ahead and pick up. Hopefully we left a little bit of space and we can pick up that text one more time.
Diana, question. In which occasion, like for which kind of project we would use text for Illustrator and for like InDesign? Like why would I choose Illustrator, for example, and not InDesign?
Yeah, for illustrators, for anything that is only one page. So a brochure, a flyer, a poster is
Okay.
one page. Now, if it has to be a two-sided thing, like a postcard, you can still do it in Illustrator because it's a simple one page each side. Got it? But there's no
Okay.
pages that need to be paginated and worked with. So at most
Uh,
you can do two-sided things and you make two artboards and one is one side and one is another. But as soon as you have any kind of number of pages or an accordion or a brochure, things that need to have any other kind of configuration, you definitely have to move into.
like a folded tag, for example, I would use InDesign.
Well, you pointed out the folded tag the other day. This is a project she was doing in my digital design techniques class. The folded tag, in fact, if you open it up,
It's one page,
guys,
kind of.
here's the example. Imagine that this, instead of being a card, which is what it is, what if this was a folded tag that has a little hole in the top and it goes for a product, what we're talking about, that you open it, it would be smaller, of course, but it has a hole in here and it opens up and it has product information and the price and that kind of thing. But in reality, it's still, if you open it up, two sides, inside and outside. So that's a project that can be done in either Illustrator or InDesign. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
InDesign is made for that. so everything is a bit easier versus Illustrator is made for all of the other stuff. So it's like there's 2,500 tools, and you're going to use just the tools that are for printing and proofing. If you go down to the essentials, to the workspaces, I just shifted to my printing and proofing, and there you have more of all of the tools that might be more in line with that. But anyway, InDesign is where I would choose to do something like that. But some people who have never used InDesign and don't design publications that have multiple pages, they know how to use Illustrator and they will just use Illustrator for that because they never learned InDesign, right? It's just it's using a little bit of Illustrator for that. Okay. So what I was saying, I thought I had asked you to pick up that that type again, but don't. If you have a little type picked up, hold on. Let's just leave it there. And how we do that is by switching back to the selection tool, right? Move back to the selection tool and leave that there because I wanted to show you, let's make a different shape. So let's grab a circle over here and let's make a little circle. There we go. And then I told you guys I hadn't given this class any practice with a star. This is the wrong time to use it, but just so you know where it is, go to the rectangle and hold down. And there's a star tool, which I believe, of all things, I haven't used it at all in this class. And we're gonna pull out a star of some kind or another. Okay. And the only reason and I don't care what position the star is in, but go ahead and you can move it, you can whatever, but let me just share something about the star only because I can't believe I didn't share this information with you. So let me show you that when you have a star, before you had to shape it while you were making it. And this is for people who've taken this class before, have used the star before. The star tool now, you don't have to shape it while you're making it. So I want to do type, but let me just show you this really quickly, and then you guys have to practice on your own. Now, when you are done with a star, and let me give it a better, more starry color. I don't know why, so that you can see these things better. When it's black, you can't see them so well. There's this little, it can be on any four sides, depending on how you switched it. In one of the sides, you will see now that thing, right? It doesn't matter if you've been flipping around, it'll be somewhere. I can click on this and make it be more or less tips on the star. Okay, so that little thing gives us more tips or less tips. Okay, and then once you have more tips or less tips, then you'll notice that one of the tips has some other tools and one of the insert sides has another tool. So I'm going to go first to this little diameter, the radius is called, that's inside. And I'm going to click on that circle and I'm going to make the radius smaller or bigger. Okay, which is kind of cool. And then this little circle outside of it is going to let me make that be more curvy or less curvy. Okay, so I'm going to leave it back in sharp. That's that one. And this makes it bigger or smaller. And then I'm going to go to the tips and the same thing. The tips can be much longer or much stubbier, right? That's that. And then the inside makes the tips be rounded or sharp. Okay, so I can have a rounded, stubby little guy. Starting from the star that I started with, I could end up with a little splotch like that, and I can go back. I can go here and keep adding more little tips or less little tips. And then I can go, no, I want them to be bigger, or no, I want it to be sharper, right? So it's malleable, very, very malleable. Anyway, I just there's no reason in the text assignment to show you the star, so I'm going to grab this beautiful little splotch and move it out there and continue because I just wanted you guys to have that. But it wouldn't be a bad idea, now that I think about it, to give a little, well, I tried to move it and I ended up making a flower, to take this thing and give a little screenshot of it because it is important to remember where all of these tools were. But if I try to do a screenshot, it turns into that mode and it doesn't give me the tools. How funny. I'm gonna have to do a screenshot of the whole page. Nope. It still goes into that mode. It's not letting me screenshot that shape. How funny. I'm trying to get those tools and it won't. It goes into path mode. Oh, well, so much for that. It's okay, then forget it because I do want to keep going with text. Let's move it out of the way and say thank you, Funky Star. I'll play with you when I have time to play. And now, because it is fun to play with that. Now let's go back to text. Okay, but did that work? Did the star, did the things we do with the star work? Do you have questions before I move on? You're all good? Okay, actually, I think I didn't clear your feedback before I asked you that. Can you now again give me feedback on that star, whether you were all able to make it kind of work? Let me just say one more thing. When you have a stroke on a star and you have thin tips, that's not a very good idea. I'm gonna put a, here, pink is always very visible, a pink stroke. Maybe blue is even better because it'll be bigger. When you make a thicker stroke, the tips can't be tips anymore because you're putting something that's fat against another fat and you just don't have tips. So if you ever try to get a tip and you're wondering why it's not getting a tip, careful with strokes. You can only have a thin stroke, or if you have a fat stroke, you're faking something because, you know, a shape that you could have gotten with a shape, but it's just that it's the stroke, but the tip won't happen because two fat strokes can't turn into a final tip. Just wanted to throw that out. Okay, so I'm gonna put my little shape over there. And now if everyone gave me a yes on that, let's go back to text. It just occurred to me that I hadn't shown you the star and I had to show it to you. All right. Let's pick up, we have a circle here. Let's pick up this type. So we're still in the selection tool. We're not using type tools anymore. We pick up that overset text. And now there's two ways to drop it into here. First, we're gonna wait until we touch the shape. See how my tool, when I touch the shape, suddenly it becomes covered in parentheses and then it goes back to being square like that only. So when it's in parentheses mode, I'm going to click my mouse and I have filled the shape with text. Now I can make the shape bigger or smaller. And it so happens to have a paragraph over there. And the text is flowing into that shape. Pretty cool. Now, if you were to do this with a star, the text would go in and out of the little tips and it would be unreadable. You could, but it would be unreadable. All right. And you could have any shape filled with text, whatever that text might be, whatever that shape might be, as long as you select it, you could have that text. Okay. If everyone's good, let's save this file. I haven't saved mine in a bit, and let's call this one type practice. And I've been working with Illustrator outside of this class, and so I didn't have my typical 5 by 5 artboard. So I'm going to go ahead and make more. So I have to go over to edit artboards, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that I have 5 of them. But I wanted to put them kind of next to each other. Remember that we did that where when you are in this mode, you can rearrange them. So I'm going to select all of them and I'm going to, I'm gonna have to go to my artboard tool, huh? I can't arrange them from here. Yeah, here I can rearrange them from here. Click on rearrange. Otherwise you have to go up to your artboard tool. And you guys already had this probably, so you probably don't need this. Two tools. I'm gonna undo what I just did because I didn't mean to do that actually. edit artboards, 2 more. There. And I'm going to go into the rearrange mode and get 2 rows. Or, yeah, 2 rows. Whatever. I don't remember how, when we do the 5, is it, do they come up as straight lines, or how do you guys, the one that we do normally? Let me just say again, new, trying to make it be the way, oh, or is it wasn't 5, it was 4 pages, right? That we normally do. And so they come up one after the other. Okay, they did the 2 rows, one after the other. Okay, so you guys probably have this one, right? Already?
Mhm.
Okay, no biggie. Just to make things easier, I'm gonna just copy this and bring it over here. And I'm gonna paste it into this one, and no, I didn't want it in there. I don't have that extra. She said I'm bringing something weird. See in the background, I'm bringing something weird from the other one. Let me cancel that. Sorry, I just messed it up. I'm trying to make it like yours, and I ended up messing it up because I brought stuff from, doesn't matter. Okay, so now I'm just going to paste, and that's all. So how now I'm in the same spot that you guys are, and it matters because of this other thing I'm going to do. So I'm going to actually delete this one, go back to this one, and I'm going to type this one and pull this one, type practice, and it's going to overwrite, replace. Okay. Now this one kept going. Okay. So now let's copy it onto this page, and we're going to work a little bit on that. So remember, option and drag, and option drag, and here's my same version as that. And then let's zoom in a bit. And first of all, what I didn't do is show you how to correct things, because this, I had asked you to make some mistakes, and this was in Latin. So if I were to correct things, let's go back to the first page. I just want this one to stay in the second page. Let's go back to the first page. And if I need to correct something, that's within the type mode. So I haven't shown you everything you can do yet with the selection tool, but in particular, to edit the text, I can't do it in anything other than in type mode. So go back to, again, to that second type tool, the one that has nothing surrounding it. That's the regular type tool. Don't know why this mode puts it in second place, because you can't write with the other one. I'll show you what the other one is in a minute. And now when my type tool is in my hands, notice that any time that it has a box around it, it's because I'm making a new box or a new type. So you have to wait until, when you hover over your text, until it turns into this insertion point, then you're inside your text, right? So then I can go and click here. I had a mistake. I'm going to click right there, and I'm going to make an extra space. And here I had an extra W. I'm going to get in there, and I'm going to select it, and I'm going to delete it. So here I had a thingy instead of an apostrophe. So I'm going to go ahead and delete it. Okay. So you have to be in that mode. Be careful, because you're even a little bit out of that mode, and boom, you've dropped another box in there that will say lorem ipsum, and you don't want that. So you can do undo and then come back in. And then same with this one, right? If this were intelligible, we could go in there, and I'm going to write now a word, here's a word in English. Okay. So now you can see a word in English. So now you've been able to write, and thus if you want to get rid of something, you can too. Okay. So that's how you would work with text. Other than working with text, the only other reason you would work in the type tool is if you want to subselect a portion of the text to change its characteristics. So say I want to select only the 3 words I just wrote in English, or the 4 words, and make them a different color. So I'm going to make them blue, right? Now, notice that when something is selected, I swear I chose blue, but when you select stuff, it goes dark, and the shape the color, the letters end up in a color that's the opposite of the color that you have. So you won't see that blue color until you click somewhere else. So now I'm going to click onto this thing, and then it stops being selected, and then it shows up in blue as I had chosen. I'm going to select that same text, and I'm going to change its font. I can go over here and change it to a weird font. Okay, I can make it bigger. I can make it smaller. So the only reason to go in with your type tool is to make some local change in that string of text. Other than that, when we're done writing, we go back to and that would work here too, right? If I wanted to select the word whatever and make it, pink or whatever. But I don't want to do that. So you got the message, you got the point. Now let's go back to our selection tool, because the rest of what we're going to do is going to apply to all the text at once. So now I'm going to select this box, the top box of my 3 boxes, and I'm going to go to the fonts, and I changed the font to some of my words in there. So when I go over here, it doesn't tell me what font it is anymore. Same with the size, because since I changed something in there, the size, it's got, oh, I don't know what it is. In other apps, it gives you a question mark. Here, it just goes blank because there's more than one. So when I now go and change the size of that, it'll make everything a different font. But notice that it's working to all of the connected threaded text. Can you see that? So if I make this 24 points, all my boxes, even though I selected the top one, all my boxes have changed. So now I'm going to go down to make it smaller, and all my boxes have changed. So I'm going to go back to 12 points. If I make my font be different, it's going to apply to, let me go for something very different, very obviously different. It only changes the box that I'm with. It's just bizarre. It's not, this is one of the reasons why when you're designing, I prefer InDesign. Paula, to your question, because when it comes to text, Illustrator isn't very clear. So how come the font size went all the way down, but the font text shape doesn't, it's like, what's the thing here? What's your choice? Versus InDesign in that sense is very consistent. Anyway, that said, if I were to go into my type tool, right, I would have to be selecting text again. Go into my type tool, and I do a Command or Control A within the type box. So I would have to be selecting, like, select one text, select one word, and then say Command A. That's all my text selected. Now it's all going selection mode. Then I can, yes, change all the text at once, or a size or shape or whatever I want. Okay, because it's here, let me go to something we haven't used yet, like this one. It's very different. So now everything changed at once. So as long as you select the text, everything changes at once. But when you select the boxes, sometimes it does one, sometimes it's the other, just a matter of playing around and figuring it out. Okay, that's all I want to do with text. If you have any questions, please ask me. Other than that, we're going to move on to page 2.
Do you want a screenshot?
Oh, thank you. Oh, some of you guys are taking care of the class. Let's do a screenshot, and I'm actually going to do a screenshot with the threads turned on since I hadn't shown that yet.
Deanna, I hate to slow down the class, but I was looking at my other screen again, and I didn't see how you transferred the text from the second box into the circle.
Oh, just the same exact as before. I just
You
select
just select it,
that bit of text that's there. But there is one slight difference.
but from the round black circle, how did you do that?
So here's my round black circle. Right?
Uh-huh.
Go to the text.
You select it?
Go to the red. No, the text is what you need to select. You select.
Okay, but you're selecting the round text. You're not selecting the square text.
Doesn't matter. This is my last text. It goes from here
Okay.
to here to here. I'm not going to pick up text from there. See how it's
Okay.
not even available? The only place the box is available is the last box, right? Because it
Okay.
goes from here to here to here. So I can't pick it up from there. To pick it up from there, I would have to delete this box. Does
Oh,
that
so you're looking at the thread thing then. You're
Yeah.
touching the thread.
Yeah, I can't, there is no overset text there because that text is continuing into there. So the
Right. So
text
you're
box-
touching the thread symbol thing, whatever it is. Okay.
well, I'm not touching the threads. I'm in my selection tool. And when I click this, those boxes are threaded, right? So
Right. I understand that. Uh-huh.
I'm not touching a thread, I'm touching a text box, right?
Okay. So I'm just wondering what you clicked. Did you click on it and select it
Yes,
and
you have,
copy and paste it, or what?
listen, I'm trying to do, but it's just that you were saying certain things that I had to correct first.
Okay.
I go to my selection tool,
Yeah.
choose the final box, doesn't matter that it's a circle or what it is, it's the final
Okay.
box. So there's
Okay.
more text after this one, right? There's more to go. And at whatever box is the last one, you will see the over text box. I mean, really notice that it's not here, not here. That overset box has turned into a line, right? That points to you. And that same spot where the thread would point to the next place and the last one, there's a plus red box. I pick from there the text, right? And then I'm gonna head over, now I left it on the other page and I'm gonna head over here. And the important thing is to have your mouse have a parenthesis. So your mouse, the tip of your mouse has to touch the edge, the path of the shape. And when you do that, see how it turns into parentheses? That's when you click. And that's how you bring the text into the next shape. Okay. Now I'm gonna select and delete just this box and give you a different shape. I'm gonna give you an octagon or whatever. So it doesn't matter what. It could be a house. It could be a flower that we made. I select it. And when I select that text, oops, pick up that text, you need to have this be a parentheses. And that's when I drop the text in there. Okay. Did that work for you? Karen?
Apparently it's not. Okay. I just,
Did that work or do you need some? Somehow you're getting blurred and I can't say here if it's a yes or a no. Karen?
yeah, apparently it's not working for me, but I'll go back and look at the recording. I don't want to hold anybody up
Go ahead
here.
and share
So,
your screen. This is what we're learning. Go ahead.
okay. I don't want to hold anybody up.
Well, that's, remember, no one's been stopping me at all, so we're going fast, so we're okay. You're all just doing, which isn't necessarily good or bad, because then people who have questions don't want to ask, and then you get left behind. So I don't want to leave people behind, so I do want questions. Remember, I very much want questions.
Okay.
Also, it gives people time to go get screenshots and post in the Padlet.
Yeah. Okay. So here's,
Oh.
okay, let me
You
not
have
touch
that.
that.
Okay, so stop for a minute. You have to get rid of that little tiny text box that you made over there, because otherwise you're not able to pick up text because, yeah, so
I have to
select
kill this. I have to kill that.
and delete it. Yeah. Yeah. And you might need to do a
Yeah.
little selection, like one of those selections where you just kind of do a, oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah.
I think move this box out. I want to see, I think you had something else there. Just to make sure we were left with nothing. Okay, good. You have nothing left there. I just wanted to make sure there was nothing there. Okay, so now pick up the text from that little box. Yeah. Okay, you need to move your tip of the mouse a bit more. Bit more down, bit more centered because you're not picking. No. You need to click, let go of your click. Yeah. Hover your mouse until when you click, yeah, click now. Just click. And move it around. If you don't pick up the text, move it around. The tip of the arrow must be a bit to the edge. It needs to be in the plumb center. So hover your mouse until you're touching the exact center of that red box right there. And now click. Oh, you're not moving. You just have to click. Your mouse has to be really still. So move it out again. I can see the tip of your mouse is not in the center. So go put it in there again. Right now, it's not in the center, the tip of your mouse. There, now click. Okay, for some reason it's not. Oof, I believe it's break time. That's not fair. I don't know how to explain it to you other than keep.
I don't drag and drop it.
No, you don't drag and drop. It's just
I
a
just click.
just a click. So move your mouse out of the way first again, and then back in. Put it hover until you're right in the center and a single click with a very still mouse. See, every time you click, I see that your mouse moves. Okay, now move your mouse out. There, now you picked up text. Now you wait until you hover over the path. Go to the left side. Well, okay, do it there. Yeah, yeah. No, now it's not. So touch with the tip of your mouth until you see parentheses. I can't tell because it's black. There, click. No, see you clicked without it. Go ahead and do Command Z. It's hard to tell because it's on black, but hover. No. You've got it in your, no, don't click again.
Okay,
Just, yeah, make sure that you see parentheses. Do you see parentheses? I can't tell. Is the
well, it's
little,
black, so it's gonna,
yeah, but there, I can see it's parentheses. Okay, click.
okay,
Okay,
okay, that's simple,
we
okay.
I should have made you change the shape of that color, but yeah, the fill. But yeah, you just need to have the little parentheses. Your tip of your mouse has to be touching the path. Okay.
Okay.
All right, cool. Now we're going to work on page 2 with the other kind of text, but I noticed that you moved it instead of copying it. So don't go back to that top tool, the one that says this is the text tool. Yeah. So click away. You're in some other shape. Yeah, click.
Yeah, I thought you were going on with everybody else. I was gonna just take a screenshot.
Yeah. Okay, but I want you to have double this one. I want you to keep this one there. So just copy it there. I don't want you to have only this one because we're going to modify this one and I want us to have the original one there too. Okay, so make it a little copy. Well, hover over your option. No, you're in a PC Alt tool and drag it out. Good. And now I'm done. So now I can let you go. Okay, cool. So the tip of the mouse is very important. Things don't happen and we see this whole mouse, right? And especially me, I have a big mouse because for teaching, I made it bigger. People kept saying they couldn't see it, so I made it bigger. So it's even harder for me to handle it because it's such a big shape. Let me share my screen one more time. Mine is such a big mouse that I really have to be very conscientious of putting only the tip of it where it matters, right? Because if you put the whole rest of it, anything, it's really the tip is the only thing that works and it's a single click. All right. My alarm bell went off and I cannot believe that truly happened, but is it truly mid-time? No.
Usually you let us out for break like 10 to 11, so we
Yeah,
have about
oh, it
almost
must have
20
been a
minutes.
different alarm then. I was like, how did that happen? It wasn't, that's weird. No, it's only,
It's 10:33.
yeah, but we have until 12:45, so we're nowhere near the middle yet. Why didn't my alarm go off yet?
Yeah, usually it's around 11 o'clock that you
Yeah,
open
but
break.
for some reason my alarm went off and I'm like, is it already? Because it wasn't. Something was wrong with that alarm. Okay, good. Phew. I was like, okay, I'll give you guys a break, but that was too fast. All right, good. It wasn't a break. Good. So let's move over to second page. And now, oh, I had corrected this one. Yeah. Head over to this one. So here's text. It doesn't matter now if it's right or wrong. Let's try to do the same thing because I want to, here we could rewrap the text and we can fit it into the right thing. Let's grab this box and try to wrap it in. And when we do that, we go, whoa, such a different way of handling text. It does not consider it to be text. It considers it to be an object, a shape that I'm distorting, just like if this were a box, right? Or any shape. And I'm moving the boxes and it distorts the shape, right? It just gives you a different shape. So that's distorting it for better or for worse. Tall, upside down, the whole shebang. So let's Command Z and go, all right, so that's bizarre. How about if I use these guys here? Nope, they just stretch them. So basically point type text as opposed to area text doesn't work with any wrapping. Basically, it doesn't consider it text. It doesn't care if it's a period or a continuing or a path. It just works as if these were little objects that happen to have the shape of a letter. All right, what if that was a mistake? I really needed this to be text there's one choice I have, which is I can click on this little arrow that's been sticking out. See that little antenna, I call it? When I click on that, sorry, when I double click on that, tick, tick, again, it's the tip of my mouse. It went from being white to now it's blue. Okay, so who cares about the color? Well, it does because I have just converted this into area type text. Okay, so I'm going to undo that again. When it's text, the little antenna that pops out is white. When it's point type text, I have to double click with the very tip of my mouse to make it blue. Now, whoops, now I have turned this into area type text. And it will follow all the rules of whatever we had over there, meaning if the box is too tiny, then I can pick it up, keep writing with it, and another, I'm going to put those teensy little bits of text over here. Okay, so I'm going to undo that because I don't necessarily want that to be type. And one more undo until that box goes white again. Now, let's head over to this side. And what if I do the opposite to this? What if I grab one of these texts and I try to turn them, can I, into area type text? So here, let's make a small box out of this. Let's make a little small box out of the first one. I'm moving everything else down. I'm going to make this one, this first box be a bit small. And now I'm going to double click on this and lo behold, when I tried to convert it into type pool, that's why I chose the top one. This contains overset text. Remember I told you that this is overset text. This stuff is overset text. It overflows your box. The overset text will be lost if you convert it to point type, right? If I continue and I say yes, which I will because I'm going to undo it later, then I am now disconnected from that text. And it's not going to flow anymore. This won't flow into that anymore. See, there's no thread. The threads are still there, but there's no thread between that. Now this text, which is supposedly type tool, point type, if I try to stretch it, it is not considered text anymore. It doesn't flow. It doesn't, do what it's supposed to do. It just gets distorted. Got it? So let's distort it in some very obvious way. I'm going to distort it to make it, here, I'm going to the other way around. I'm going to make it smaller and tall letters. So I'm distorting it in that way. Skinny and tall letters. And then I go, oh, well, now I want it to flow again. Well, sorry guys, it's a one-way road. Because if I want it to flow again, I can. I'm going to double click on this again for it to flow, and it didn't turn, it turned into flowing text. But first of all, it's disconnected from that, and it flows, and it would flow. It doesn't seem to flow, and it's because these are considered hard returns. So yes, I can make it flow again if I work inside of that space, but this is a hard return. As if I had hit return, return, return. So I need to go to my type tool, put my mouse in front of the first one, hit delete, hit return, and then, yeah, it is working. It's just that all of these lines, and if you have 25 lines or 35 lines, you basically have to start treating them as if someone had written something and hit return, return, return each time. Does that make sense? So it gets very tiring very fast. Once you do that though, which I just did, then yes, it is again flowable, but it will never connect to this again. You've left this behind, and you have your deformed font in whatever way you deformed it, which in this case is totally unreadable. So basically it's good to go in one direction, but when you go in the backwards in the other direction, you're left with text that's a mixture of both and isn't really Good, and especially if you had connected text, then you've ruined that connection, okay? Anyway, so the best use for this is only in the direction of, well, I was trying to write in an area text and I didn't. Okay, let's just double click and make it all area text. So I'm going to do that to this final piece. So on the left side, I'm going to leave only area text. I'm going to double click on that one and rewrite it, and good. Now I have area text into that one. That's good. But on the left side, I'm left with point type. Okay. All right. Back to that, if that made sense. And you guys, there's no real way to screenshot that. So just give me a yes if that worked for you. If you're able to convert back and forth and you understand why going from area type to point type, you disconnect the threads and you have to reflow everything by hand to make it work again. It's doable, and if you've messed it up many times, you can't tell you clicked over here and you forgot, like especially if it's not threaded text, you didn't notice, and then when you later want it to flow, it doesn't flow and you don't know why. It's because for some reason that got double clicked, and then you're messed up. By then it's too late, so then you have to like hit your returns to make it come back again. All right, I'm seeing yeses. I'm going to clear your answers. All right, so now the most important part. Let's go over to the second artboard, and now we have this text, which is point type. All right, I'm going to move this out of the way because it's bugging me. Okay, so now this one I'm going to replace, but instead of making a new one, just so you guys learn and remember how to do that, I'm going to go back to my type tool. Remember, always the second one for the one that's the regular type tool. I'm going to click in there, and I'm going to either click and drag to select it all, or I can Command A to select it all, or I can triple click to select it all. There's all these different ways to select it all. And I'm going to replace that, and we're going to write the word. I'm always changing words here, but I haven't used this one for a while. Let's write the word peace. Let's hope for peace. And I'm going to do it in uppercase. Peace. So when I leave the word, I don't need to be in type tool anymore. I go straight back to my selection tool. So the type tool we use very short amount of times just to write or to select individual letters. Other than that, we're back always in our selection tool. All right, once you've written that word peace, and the default font that always came with was this Myriad Pro Regular. I could, of course, go over here and make this bigger and it'll work, right? Which is the best way to do it. But say that I wanted to stretch it. Can I stretch it? Yeah. But be very careful, because if you stretch willy-nilly, you are deforming that font, and any person who designs fonts will want to kill you. Let's Command Z. If you do want to make things bigger without deforming this font, you have to hold on to the Shift key, which is what we do also for shapes, right? So hold on to the Shift key, grab one corner and pull, and that is the same as having changed it in size over here, because the letters, the font isn't deformed. Does that make sense? So just make sure to hold on to the Shift key when you pull open, and no matter where you pull it from, it'll pull open and it'll do it in a proportional way. So you could have chosen 100 over here. Now, what if you wanted to choose 100? You couldn't have. It only goes to 72. What if you wanted 65 instead of 60 or 72? Then you have to put the number in here. And by pulling it open, we have this in between number, right? So you need to hit delete on that. Let's say that we write 65, then you have to hit return to get out of that box, and then you have 65. So any in between, if you want, 15, you have to go in and write 15 and hit return. All right, and the biggest this goes is to 72. So if you want anything bigger, the only choice is to write it. So say I go 200 or to pull it. Okay. So it doesn't get any bigger than that. So I go to 72 and then I hold my shift key and I pull it a bit bigger and I end up somewhere around 100. Here to round it out, I'm actually going to write 100 and let it be a very perfect 100. Now again, this is still with the Myriad Pro font. That's the default font that comes out. But there we go. That's good then that it's Myriad Pro. And okay. Give me a second. Okay. I was looking at the time. Okay. I have to, this computer's off all the time, and when I want to see it, I have to actually turn it all on. Not off, but it takes a long time to my right-sided one to turn up because it has a very old monitor that doesn't really want to react. It's like, I don't want to work with you. Okay. Here we are. We have our piece. Let's not change the font. Let's make a copy. So everyone has one basic word piece, right? Let's make a copy of it. So I'm putting one copy down there and then another copy down here. So I'm making 3 copies. They're all exactly the same type of font. If I try to do anything to one of these, this is text, this is type. Like if I try to go with my selection tool on one of these, and again, let me make a little shape. Since we're at it, let me work with a star. I'm going to make a little star over here, right? Let me give it a different color. And this is just demo. You don't need to make a star, but you can. If I had a shape of any type and kind, and I went with my white selection tool, I could go in there and I could start, changing it and modifying it and doing weird stuff to it, right? So it's not that shape anymore. Can't do that with piece. Can't do it with the white selection tool. It just isn't working because this is a font and the font is not individually workable. Okay. So even though the box is treating it as it were an object because it's distorting it, it still isn't letting me work with it as if it were an object. So let's go to our second one and let me show you 2 things you can do. First of all, let's now go finally to that second type tool that we had here on the side that I've been telling you to avoid. And you'll see why it's so special. Okay, go to that second type tool. And now, and by the way, first you had to have selected the second type, right? With the regular selection tool. Now let's go to that type tool and watch. Now it's going to make each one of these letters be individually workable. Hello? Wow. That's not doing it for me. Oh, it's not that tool. Oh, how funny. I've been thinking that's a weird tool to put on top. That's why. Okay, that's not that tool. I was confusing my shapes. Okay, this is the tool. Okay. Forget it. I'm sorry, guys. Here, let me just show you what that tool is. You can click on that and it's how I had told you. Just let me just show you. It doesn't matter. We can ignore it because we already did it. If I were to pick up this text, let me make a new shape over here. pick up the, let me just show you what it is. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing we did. When you click on that tech and you pick it up, right? I had told you hold on to this circle and it fills with text, right? Okay, that's because it's continuous. But if I now click on this tool, this is the area type. And if I click in there, it brings in text, only it has this really big 100-point font. So it's kind of hard for it to do anything. So now I can write in here, right in here with whatever you want. It's basically, it's an area type tool. Add text within objects. It's basically the same thing I had you do from picking up text, but it's for a circle. So that's why it had me so confused that they were allowing that tool. I'll show you now the tool I thought it was, which is the one I wanted to use. Anyway, so yeah, is the one I want in here. It's not even in here. I'm gonna have to change. Okay, let's go back to like Essentials Classic for a minute. I don't even think it's in Essentials. Is it in Essentials? And hold? No. Go back to Essentials Classic. Okay, go all the way back to Essentials Classic. And now let's go over here. Select that second. Okay, this is what I wanted to do. I was just really surprised that they had put that tool there, and it's because I made a mistake with a shape. Click and hold on the type tool there. This is the one that I thought they had put there, but I thought, why is it the touch type tool? But I see now that it was the shape for the area type tool. So head all the way down to the touch type tool. When you have found the touch type tool, give me a yes. Basically, go to Essentials, Classic, go to the type tool, click and hold, and the final choice is the touch type tool. This is the only tool that allows me to work with type as if it were individual letters. And as you can see, not many people use it. So they hid it from all the tools that isn't the one where you get everything. But watch, I'm gonna hover over the letter P and click on it. And it has its own little bounding box now, which means I can make it bigger or smaller. But the cool thing is that it keeps it in line. See how piece is moving in or out? Keeps it in line with the rest. I can grab the E and now I can shift it from the top. I can drag it over here. I can grab the A and move it. So from the top, I can move it sideways. I can make it bigger or smaller. I can make it fatter or large or small, you know, whatever I want. So it allows me to work with each letter in a funky way, keeping, and this is the part that I find most really important, is that as I make it bigger or smaller, it's not disconnecting from the next one, right? And then this one, I'm gonna go ahead and move completely like that. So here we have this word that doesn't really read piece anymore, but there you go. You can play with it as much as you want individually. And no matter what you do, it notices that these need to stay together because it's still a type tool. It still cares about the word that you made. Okay. So if everyone's good with that and it's working, give me a yes. See, I'm trying to put the C under the A and it's not liking it because that distorts the whole thing, right? But it's letting me do it. It's like, okay, if you insist. Anyway, so that's the good old I put the A too near to the other one now. So that's that tool that I thought it was having us choose, which is why I thought it was so bizarre. I was wrong. It was not as crazy. Okay, so now I'm done playing around because I can sit there and play around with this for a bit. I leave the type tool and there's my word now. But here's the good news. It's still font. So if I go to my regular type tool now, which is the top one, maybe I can have this be peak or pace. I can still select that and change it into a K. Okay, so it is still font. It is the big distinction because what we're going to do after this is we're going to make it be not font anymore. Okay, so that tool still allows me to go in and change that to peach or peak or whatever. Does that make sense? So I'm going to go back to piece. And then if I want to distort it again, because now it wrote normally, then I have to re-distort it. If that worked for you, give me a yes. And it should have by now, or you should have stopped me. Hold on, let me clear your feedback. And yeah, let's do a little screenshot of that because that's kind of weird. And I'm going to be in that type mode so that one of these gets selected, and I'm going to do that's called the touch type tool. And edit from the Essentials Classic workspace allows me to modify each letter in a word, but still continue to work as a font, as a type, as work as type, i.e., I can still edit the word to change the letters. And now let me bring the screenshot. Move it up or down, fat or thin, etc. Okay. All right. Back to Illustrator. And let's go back to our regular type tools. Now, let me just show you, since twice now I've had to leave the basic set of tools that we came up with. We began to work in this basic set of tools. There is a slightly less basic one called Essentials, and then there's the basic one that we started with. But no matter which one you're working with, if there's a tool that you like having a cleaner toolbar, not so many things that you never use, that's good. What if we just wanted to bring one tool? Say that we wanted one tool that's missing here. We can do that. It's not like we're stuck with this. And so I'm going to just show you that really quickly because you don't have to keep changing everything. What if you're like, well, I like this toolbar, but I just need this one other tool that I'm not seeing. So for example, I like the artboards tool that I'm not seeing here. Okay, so let's go get the artboard tool or this touch type tool, for example. So notice that at the bottom of all these toolbars, there's 3 dots, right? So over here, they happen to be right there. Now, if my toolbar had been doubled up, then they'd be over there. It doesn't matter, but at the bottom of each toolbar, so if you don't see them there because you don't, it keeps going down, 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 then double up your toolbar and then you'll see them. And now I just messed it up. Hmm.
Are we going to take a break?
It isn't break time yet, is it? No, we still have another at least half hour to go. Am I doing something wrong, guys, for this break thing? No. Class,
It's 11 now.
yeah.
Yeah, we started at 9 and now it's 11.
Okay. But it's not, usually we go more like 11:30, don't we? No,
No. Usually it's like
11. Okay,
10,
so let me
10:50 or something to 11 or 11 to
Okay.
7, 11:10.
got it. Let me finish this and
15.
then, because when we come back, we're going into something totally different. We're going to work with type, not as type. So let me just show you this really quickly and then we'll do the break. So here's the 3 dots I click on them, and it's showing me every tool available for toolbars, right? So if you're missing one that you really like, that I've worked with, that I've shown you, so for here are all those, like the width tool. Say that you loved the width tool that we used today and you loved it and you want it back. I'm going to just click on this width tool. And depending on where my tools are, I can bring it. So here's my modified tools. I can just click it in there. And I'm wondering where it's going to put it, though. I haven't done this in a bit. Where was the one I was looking for? Here's the touch type tool. Okay. So you click on that touch type tool and it puts it in there so that when you click and hold, it should be putting it in there. There, drag it. There we go. I just put the width tool in the modify area. There we go. And now I'm going to put the touch type tool in the type area. So you select it and then you just drag it in. Okay. And there. So now I've added the width tool to the modify area, and I've added the touch type tool to the type area. You don't have to do this, but showing you that you're not stuck with what you've got. Okay. You can actually add or change and then when you're done, you just click away and that will disappear. And now I've added two tools that were not there before. The width tool that I showed you today to change the width of a stroke, and then the touch type tool in the type area. All right. This isn't important for you to know. It was just a little bit of an extra. So if it worked, just fine. And if it doesn't work, don't worry. Let's go ahead and take our break, which I am flabbergasted that it's already time. But on the other hand, I get it. And you guys are desperate for it. And it's a good timing because we will start on making text not be text when we come back. So it's 11:02. So let's be back at 11:17. Right, see you guys in 15. All right, sorry guys, I overstepped the break. Here we go. Give me a yes if you're there or turn on your videos. And just trying to make myself some coffee and it took longer than it should have. Right. Oh, cold. Who wouldn't be cold, right? Like today. All right. Share my screen. And oh, by the way, I understand finally what was wrong with the schedule. Why I kept looking at the schedule going, no, something's wrong. Because today's class has, in my calendar, for some strange reason, I had it set up as starting at 10. Somehow it must have slipped. So I kept looking, going, we're only in the first part of the class. We're not halfway. How's that because I was looking at my calendar and the line in the middle, which is a visual way. I'm like, it's not in the middle. We shouldn't have a break. So anyway, sorry that I also kept you longer, like from even starting the break. Okay. It's back to Illustrator. And oh, let me just check really quickly the Padlet. Ooh, lots of skewed letters. Okay, great. And some stars. Good. Back to Illustrator. Cool. So now we are left with text that we could turn into any other word, text that we can turn into any other word. And now we're going to grab actual text and we're going to head up to the word type, way at the very top. And we're going to choose create outline. So is everyone back? Gary, are you there? Paula?
Yes, but I didn't see what did you do now?
Well, I'm about to do it. Here's the word, the last word now. We're selecting the last word. We're going to go up to the O because that's true when I share I have to share my entire window for you guys to see the windows. Thanks. So I'm going to go up to the word type. So select that final one that's also type. Go up to the word type where there's so many things we can go to type. Okay. And we're going to go down to create outlines. And is there any way I can screenshot this? Yes, because this is important to show where it comes from. There we go. Create outlines. Click on that one time. Not much might seem to have happened. By the way, I'm going to make this a bit smaller just so that it's a bit more out of the way so I can spend a bit more time with this. Not much might seem to have happened, but a lot has happened. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. This, actually, can I show you both? Here, let me move these out of the way because this is a whole different creature. I'm going to put it up there. This is the one that was at top, that was text. You see what that box looks like? And this is the one that I just created outlines. I'm in my selection tool, okay? And look at how different these two boxes are. I'm going to go ahead and reshare again, just this window because we don't need that menu bar anymore. And it just is a smaller amount of sharing that has to happen. You don't need to see all my. So that's the selection box for a text box. See that line that goes under it? That's the bottom line where the letters have to touch. I'm having a blank on the name of that letter. It has that line has a name, that line where the text sits on, and I can't remember that name right now. This, on the other hand, has a bounding box that is exactly the size of my text. And it's because this is not type anymore. These are now shapes, just like the star is a shape, the box is a shape. These are shapes that happen to look like letters. We have left the world of type and are back in the world of objects. The whole point, though, if I look at my layers, though, is that these are grouped. If I look at my layers, see the word piece over here? It's a group. And if I were to open this little arrow, it turns out that each letter is one element of that group. So I could either ungroup it to work with them individually, or I could double click to get into isolation mode to work with each one individually. Remember? as much as any group that we've been working with. So let's go ahead and double click, and now I'm inside of just the letter P, where I can, do weird things to it, change it, modify it. We're going to understand later what's happening to that. That's as a compound path that I haven't had a choice. But basically, I'm working with it as if it were text. So I can also use my selection tool, my white selection tool. And this is where I can start modifying it and changing it to my heart's content till it doesn't even look like a letter or P anymore. Okay, now this is not normally what I would do with a letter, but you can. It is just an object that happens to be shaped like the letter P. Does that make sense, you guys? If it worked for you, I'm going to clear your feedback. If you are now able to work with each one of these letters independently, I'm going to double click, and now I am working with this one, this here, and I used the little corner edges to make it not be sharp anymore. And then I'm going to select this little tip and bring it in, make it shorter. Okay. Then I'm going to select this one and whoops, select this one and make it longer or somewhere in between. And then this one longer, right? So you're basically distorting things individually. Now this is where logos come from, right? Logos that work with text per se, not any old logo. There's logos that are just art, but if they work with text, then this is how you would have to handle it. So now what I want you guys to do is to play around with these different options here. And that stuff that I did didn't work. We're going to talk a little bit later about compound letters, just so you know. The P and the A are compound objects, which I haven't shown this class yet. So when you try to select the A and move it, notice that it'll leave behind, like the A is just a different shape. When you turned this letter into a shape, it's two different shapes. There's one shape, which is the inside of the letter, and one shape which is the outside of the letter. Same with this P, okay? It just doesn't relate anymore to B in a letter. It's just shapes. Okay. Let's go ahead and, and remember I told you you could select these shapes now and do effects. Remember that I mentioned maybe you can do an effect that I taught you today. I'm going to just go back to the basic and the old roughen, and there's my A. Okay. I don't need us to do effects on everything, but just showing you how basically each one of these is its individual creature, as long as you double click and you're working inside of the group with individual items. Okay. The negative, you can't go back and make a type correction. This is not type anymore. You cannot go into the type tool in any way, shape, or form and attempt to change this to a K like we did before. This is not type anymore. It is now shapes. Okay. Give me a yes if that worked for you. And then we're going to actually do a bit more work with type. And then we'll end up modifying something to look a bit like a logo. But for now, I just want to make sure that you all know how to get in there. I could have ungrouped it, right? Command Z ungroup. If you do that, then you don't have to double click anymore and you have them separate. So you can do that as well. Sometimes when you're trying to keep it looking like a word, it's better to keep it grouped because then the spaces make more sense and you don't get them like off that line and stuff like that. Right now I'm doing whatever to them, so it doesn't matter. But if it were to matter, then you want to make sure to keep them, grouped. It just depends on what matters to you or what you're trying to do with those letters. Okay, give me a yes if that worked, and let's give me a screenshot of that. And then we're gonna go to our next artboard. And this is create in order to work with the type as if it is a shape and object instead of type, you have to convert it to outlines. Go to menu, type slash convert to outlines, because I did that twice. The resulting letters are now shapes that look like letters, and you can modify them with all the tools we've been using. Add paths, anchors, modify, move, add effects, etc. All right. Are we good with that? Was everyone able? I guess I should have written in that also about grouping and ungrouping. Where's my post? 1 second. It the the letter shapes are collected into a group to work with them individually. You have to either ungroup them or double click to use them inside of isolation mode. Okay. All right, how are we doing, guys? I don't know that I asked you, give me a yes on this yet. If you did, please do it again, because if so, I cleared the answers. Is everyone good on creating text to outlines and working with them individually? So as much as I could now color them, fill them with a texture, fill them with a feature, fill them with whatever, I can't, on the other hand, change the font. So I'm stuck with whatever font I chose to begin with, right? So now we're going to start by choosing a font that we want for a word. We're going to work on some other tools that kerning and things like that. And then we're going to convert to outlines to get a final logo. Or word for a headline for an article or something like that. We're going to make it into a big thing. Okay. Paula, you didn't answer yes or no. Are you good?
Yes, I answered before, but I think you cleared the answers.
I did. Sorry. Okay. So now let's head down to an empty artboard. Move out of the way of the other stuff. And let's go ahead and go to the type tool. We're gonna go to the regular type tool. And we're going to go to a word. Those of you who've taken this class before, I don't want to repeat words. I'm looking for a word in particular, so help me think, Moni, people who know where I'm heading. I'm looking for a word that has letters that are contrasting. Peace was one of them in a way, but there's worse of there. Maybe I don't want to keep repeating words, but I'm going to write the word world because it's such a good example. You'll see what I mean. I'm sure when you guys know what I'm talking about, you'll come up with better words, but let's write the word world. Uppercase. And I don't know, I had because I had a box here in that word. I'm going to go back to Myriad Pro to start with. And I'm going to go up to like, 72 points. Just while you're at it, let me look at the word whirl. No, not so much. You'll see what I mean now in a minute. Okay, so everyone has the word world. Now I'm going to zoom into that word, and when you deselect, click away so there's nothing clicking, and you look at that word, depending on the font you've chosen, and right now we're at Myriad Pro, the basic one that comes, and if you're not, then please go to that one. Though the letters, and it really does matter to see it big, because it's when you see a headline and an article, it'll be much bigger than the rest. When you see a logo, when you see things, they kind of need to, it's, you know how it's different when you see something small and tiny or big. So I'm making it's a short word, so we can make it pretty big. And then you can look at it. You know how when you look and then you look away and you look at it again, the shape stops really being a word and begins to be shapes, right? Does it look like it's evenly spaced to you? There's better words for this, but anyway. Let
No.
me give you another example here. The type tool, the word earth, I believe, is pretty good. No, I'm having a hard time. Let's go back, for example, to the word peace. If you look at these as words like this separately, suddenly it feels like there's more space between these two letters than there is between these two letters. Does that make sense? Or
Right.
less between that. And I want to lead you into that. I want you guys to look at it, but it looks a little bit off, like maybe squint a little bit so you see in between your eyelids and look at it as its shape, and you go, that doesn't look like it's all that good. Now, if this were one word and a bunch of letters and a whole paragraph, who cares? But when it's going to be one big important word in your article and your logo and your poster, then that kind of stuff matters. So go ahead and write the word peace as well, since we have that font, and then we'll have both to work with. Because so you're going to select the word, choose your type tool again, because now this is about type. And we're going to go into the type tools, either here under character, you have the size, and then you have three other things. And if you had opened this one, then you have even more choices, right? There's just choices and things that can happen to them. But let's just go over here. And when I click my my entire word, and I can even do that from without the type tool. If I go just to the selection, this what I'm about to do first works as well. So let me actually show you the difference. So let's leave the type tool for a second, because I want to show you the difference. The first one can be done either by selecting the word or by selecting the whole word with the selection tool. And over here, let me get my colored pencil. There's two distinct choices that I'm circling. And I'm going to undo the circle because I'm covering it, but there and there, those two choices, okay? So when I go to this one here, it says VA as an example, as a little icon, and it shows this little arrow. This is for separating the entire word evenly. So I can go ahead and click on this arrow, and I can say, I want to make it much bigger or much closer. And the whole word changes. So I'm going to head all the way down to 200, right? So the more you do this, the more you can tell, let me command minus a bit, the more those spaces look weirder, right? The more space you have in between them. Now you can really see that that space and this space are different than that space. Does that make sense? And even if these two are the same, since the L goes to the left and the D starts there, it looks different there too. Now, many times words that are in titles, people do add more space to them. And this that we're doing right now, oof, got a little mosquito in my face. This is going to be something that you can also make them tighter. And in fact, look at that. When you make them really tight, then truly you could see there was a difference in the distance because the R and the L are touching, but the O and the W aren't. So there actually was a difference in that. So I'm going to go to something logical. Something logical might be spreading it out to like 50 points. Okay. And if so, we're left with some weird spacings. How do we deal with those individual word spacings? Same with peace. Let's make peace a little bit more stretched out. We don't need to do it too much more. Let's go again also to 50. That helps accentuate the issue. And that is typically something we would do with a word that would be a big, say, poster, right? If this were a movie called World, you wouldn't have it tiny. You would have it, spaced out. All right, so now let's go to our type tool again. And now we get to put my mouse in between. See how there's a V/A right there? So now you can put your word, and this is called kerning. The other one was tracking. So this is kerning. I'm going to put my mouse in here between these two. And now the space that I'm going to move in is just in between those letters. So say that I go to minus and I bring it down, 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 down. And it's tiny amounts. You can barely see it, but it's going down. So let me go minus 100. So that was a ton. But now you really saw that it's just those two letters, right? So from 0 to minus 100. See how only those two letters. Now I overdid it, right? So I can go and say, how about 50? Or how about 75? You just play around and then you go into the details. Many times the word really has to be moved just a teensy bit one way or the other to make it work. So usually it's not big numbers. Now I forced it by giving it so much space to have it be big numbers. And let's see, now that seems that it gets too close. So now I'm going to go up, 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 up and move it with less space. Or let me see if I go to 75. Oh, I was going the wrong way. Go to minus 25 for that one. And let me see now. What do I think about that word? Yeah, it looks a little bit more even. I still have a bit more space in there. So now I'm going to put my mouse in there. And some of this stuff is really something, and I'm going to go on this one individually, just a little bit. There. That seems about right. And I see, and you have to look away. You have to kind of walk away, come back to it, look up to the ceiling, look at it again, until you kind of begin to get a feeling for that in those spaces. I still might actually have to bring those two a little bit closer or whatever, but that is more evenly spaced. Even if it isn't necessarily correct, it is visually more even. Does that make sense, you guys? I'm going to do it with the word peace, but let me show you something else first. Here in the auto, there's the choice for auto, which is how we regularly type it. There's optical or metrics. Sorry, I needed to be in the type tool. So you have to select the entire word. And I'm going to go over to the one that separates individual letters. And auto, optical, or metrics. Auto is how you type it depending on how the word was designed. Optical sometimes fixes it because it gives us this, it's not the correct, see how it's much better between peace and optical. It did bring the P over quite a bit. So sometimes try with optical first. For some words it works, for some it doesn't, before you go move it by hand. And so and then metrics, in this case, isn't doing much to it. So I'm going to opt for optical first. And then I still think I need to put these a little bit closer. So I'm going to grab that one and I'm going to make that one come in a little bit more. The P needs to be closer to the E. And now the E, I think, it needs to be a bit closer to the A. and the A to the C. So anyway, I'm just working around, and I don't know, that kind of looks okay. I find that when I look at words this way after a while, it's hard to even tell that they say peace anymore. You know, it literally does turn into shapes. You know what I mean? Have you ever stared at a word a lot and gone, what is this word? Anyway, maybe it's just me, but that's a thing that happens to me. Okay, so that seems more evenly spaced than it used to. If this is working and you're able to do some tracking and some kerning, give me a yes. If it makes
Jana,
sense. Yeah.
how did you do like just the individual? You did it by hand,
Yes,
individual?
you have to be in the type tool first of all. So
Mhm.
do it in the selection tool. And then you have to go, hold on, I've got my, then you put your mouse in between the two that you're trying to bring together or separate. And then you go to
Mhm.
this tool, that one. And see,
But rather than selecting like -10 or 25, you did it first of all where you just
oh,
kept doing it in
yeah.
very small
So,
increments.
yeah. So I went to, instead of selecting 10 or 25, I went to these little up and down arrows.
Mhm.
Began clicking down, 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 up to just get individual numbers in there. You could also type in the numbers, but since you don't know at that point, you want to go up and down on these little arrows to find that right in between spot.
Great, thank you.
Welcome. I'm going to bring the last E in a little bit. Now, the good news is that relationship between these letters now stays. So even if I were to go back to tracking and move it back to 0, let me select the entire word now. If I were to go back to tracking and go back to 0 or 50 or whatever, it stays with that letter. I just want to make sure that we weren't. Then, and I have it centered right now, so it's opening from the center if you have it sideways, but I had it centered in paragraph mode. So then it's opening sideways, but it gives you that even, it keeps the spacing that you made and it keeps it even. So when I went really big, then so here to 200, it kept that relationship of distance that I had given them when it was less open, and it still works. Does that make sense? So I established the relationship between each letter with this tool. And then with this one, I can still make it all wider spaced as the entire word, and the relationship has been kept. Which is good and bad. 99% good, but the only time that it's bad is when you haven't yet chosen the font you want to use. Because we're in Myriad Pro because it's the default font, but what if we wanted to use a different font and we've already done this work? Well, guess what? With other fonts, and I'm gonna move these words one up and one down for a second. And I'm gonna copy world right there. And then I'm gonna leave peace out of the way for a minute, and I'm gonna copy world 2 or 3 times. Because if we leave the first one as Myriad Pro, the second one, let's go choose something else for it there. The third one, something else. And again, I'm not necessarily going for words that I think are poopies. And then this one. So I'm finding some that are considered very different. And I'm not saying whether I like the fonts or not right now. That's not the point I'm making. Look at this word that I had spaced to be well spaced in Myriad Pro. And when I look at it in this one, which is what, Thermal BF, look at how it looks wrong again. Does that make sense? Because each font design has its own particular, and then over here, which you should never use in upper caps. This is a headline. It's it's a first cap only kind of font, or an upper lower cap. But see how the R and the L are touching here in a way that they're not for the rest. So even if you were to go for a more regular, normal kind of, still funky, but a bit more normal kind of thing, the amount of space that I left over here isn't seem to be enough for these. So in this one, I would have to go in again and put my mouse in here and make these get even closer. So I'm going all the way down to minus 75. No, not even. That one needs a minus 100 maybe. Yeah, it took minus 100 for that to work, for this world to look good. But if I were to now put that back into Myriad Pro, my W looks like it's on top of the O. Does that make sense? So you basically have to do this kind of work with a word once you've decided and you're certain that that's the one you want. Because it's gonna work with respect to the word that you made it work with. And in fact, now that I say, I do think it probably needs a bit less space even for me in that one. Maybe a little bit more, somewhere in between 25 and 50, maybe 35. That's better for that one. Okay. So don't do this work until you know what font you're going to be working with. I'm going to go ahead and make that go back to 0 to show that it's not working. And then I'm going to do a screenshot of this to show the example of. And by the way, I didn't make these things any whiter or whatever. It's the same font size. All I did was the same word. I changed it in different fonts. And notice how these two appear much bigger than that. I don't have many that look much taller, but sometimes the font is going to be much taller. So each word has its own, each font has its own design, its own look. So you have to first settle on that. Because when you change font, I mean, you can change it later, but the whole look will change. And even the spacing you left for that will change, not just the look, okay? Because the same 12, something in 12 points in one font or another. Oh, I have a gnat that's been bugging me. I'm not being crazy. I'm trying to catch it. It's just like circling my gnats are notoriously hard, tiny. All they do is bug you, but okay. So let me go post that. And then I'm looking at the time. I want to get to some other stuff. So I'm in uppercase. Okay, I'll leave that one. Change the tracking and the kerning to alter the spacing between the letters in the entire word or between each individual letter to make the word appear correctly. What looks good in one font might not look good in another font. Not what, but the space that you chose. The spacing that you chose for that looks good in one font might not look good in another font. So you need to re-alter. Okay. Back to Illustrator. Clear your answers. And when you're done with that, don't forget to save. And now this, remember, was still text as opposed to here where it wasn't text anymore. So when you're going to color something, it makes a difference if it's text or not text. Let's put this word piece or bring it from somewhere else or rewrite the word piece. It doesn't matter. Let's make it a bit bigger. Let's make it a font that is a bit fatter. This is the basic Myriad font. I want something fat. You'll see why in a minute, but choose a font. Arial Black. There, Arial Black is very fat. Let's go with Arial Black. Choose Arial Black for that. And then let's copy it a couple of times. We're going to do some different things with that. And then save. And then tell me when you've got that font. For this one, I chose the font because I want it to be really big and fat for what I'm going to do. So choose Arial Black instead of whatever you want. Let's just choose Arial Black. I'm thinking the P is wrong in this font. I need to make it go closer, but I'm not going to because I want to keep going, but it is bugging me a bit. Just that I'll fix it because I can't stare at it the whole time. I'm just bringing it a little bit closer. There we go. All right, I had to do that. I'll delete these two, copy that one. Just my brain can't handle that. I'll be watching it all the time. Okay. All right, are you with me? I'm not seeing any yeses. I said once you have the word peace written 3 times in Arial Black, give me a yes. All good down there. Okay, Karen, how can I help?
Yeah, I can't find Arial Black in my
Then
choices,
anything
so
never mind.
so I'm
Anything.
just making it something thick.
Yeah, choose something that's very bold, very strong. It really doesn't matter too much. I just want something because what we're going to do is coloring and putting texture and putting shape, putting things under that. And so the more stuff we have, the better. All right. Let me just show you, and I'm not going to do it right now for this one, but you know how I went to type, create outlines. Notice that when I select some font, some type, if you look over here at the most logical choices, one of them, quick actions, one of them is create outlines over there. You see that? So I could have done it from there, but I'm not going to do it yet. So first, if I want to fill this with any color, of course I can, and that's how you fill text versus for those of you who are in digital design techniques and InDesign, you have to choose the text versus the frame. Here you don't. This is just for people who are in that class. If you're not, don't worry, let me clear your feedback. You can choose a color. You can even choose one of these little pattern fills that they had there. But what happens when you try to choose a gradient? Whoops. Gradients are not happening. Okay. On text, you cannot put a gradient, which is kind of limiting since gradients are something that might be really nice. So if you want to put a gradient, we're going to have to talk about how we're going to do that. But this one here, the patterns does work. Now, can you read that it says piece? Well, that's a whole nother issue. But anyway, but the gradients don't work at all. So let's give it textures in general. Like if I go, remember that we had, pretty sure it was you guys that I took to this, but I might have been the digital design techniques. Did I take you to these libraries? Yeah, I took you to these libraries for colors. Okay, so let's go to the patterns, dots, for example. And if I want to use one of these dotted patterns and I click on it, the patterns are working. So all patterns work. Okay, so if you choose a smaller one, be careful because it needs to read, right? So that one doesn't read, but one of these very full ones still reads. Anyway, now if you were to do this one, for example, it might be important to give it a little stroke. So let's just give it a little black stroke, a little hairline stroke, which is 0.25 of a point. And then that might work, right? So that's an example of something that's different that works. Patterns work. Now you don't get to choose where the pattern goes, right? So here I am with, I would like to have like the big dot be on the end of each word instead of at the beginning that I have sometimes the small dots, the big, you don't, yeah, you that one, you don't. you don't get to choose where that pattern goes in this case. All right, let's select the second one. And let's say that we want to put a picture inside of there, an actual photograph. And I believe, and I hope that in the class files, I didn't give us some clouds. I was hoping for clouds. Okay, but I have these mountains. Maybe these mountains will work. They're not very peaceful colors, but maybe this one. But I usually try to put a photo of a cloud, which I could send to you. Here, I have a photo of the world. I gave you guys a photo of the world. I don't know how well that'll read, but let's use the photo of the world, which might make sense for peace or not. I don't know, but let's try it. I have no idea if it'll work or not. So here's how we're going to do. We're going to go File, Place. And if you go to the place where you downloaded the class files, we're going to click on the file called Earth. If you can't find it or something, find any photo you have in your computer. It doesn't matter. You should probably have something. And I'm going to say place. So just watch for a second. If you're looking for the right photo, just watch what I'm going to do. And then you can look for the right photo. So I'm going to click and drag. Oh, I'm dragging a bit too much, but here, let me escape again. I'm trying, it doesn't matter. I didn't drag it enough. I went out. I want to make it about as big as the name. So I'm going to hold down the shift key so it doesn't distort. I want to do it that way. I'm going to make it that the word like piece goes from end to end of the it's probably about big enough. And I'll show you in a minute how we're going to still be able to work on that. But let's go ahead and do that. And it's okay, it's not perfect. If you have to bring a different photograph, it's not the word piece. If you have some clouds in there, that's what I wanted. Now I'm going to go to the layers and I'm going to grab this word that's on top of everything. And I'm going to just drag it under so that the word piece is above. Okay. So I just brought in this, so it's going to be above it. So maybe you're just going to bring it down a few until you finally get it right under the one you want. Or you can just bring it down enough to know that it'll go under everything. That way you don't have to worry. And then when you're there, give me a yes. I'm going to take it step by step. When you've managed to put in and so once you're here, you can see maybe it wasn't big enough. Maybe you need to stretch it a little bit more, right? So then you keep going, but remember to hold the shift key. If you don't hold the shift key, we're distorting it, which, I mean, in this case, maybe it doesn't matter if we distort it too much. I was going to put clouds anyway, but if you want it to still keep the proportion of world, then you have to keep the proportion in by holding on to the corners while you hold on to the shift key. Okay. And then when you're done, Stan, Sarah, Karen, Paula, tell me how you're doing.
I'm with you.
You're with me. Okay. Don't forget to give me a yes though, so that I don't have to like call your name when you're there.
I'm working with the placement, but it's the three pieces keep bouncing back like they're a group.
Yeah, so if you need to, go ahead and grab the other two and move them out of the way. Just, it's okay. Just keep these two. For now, we'll bring the others in. I just wanted to show you something different with each one. But you can drag these others out of the way and then you just have these two. Is that working now?
I think so, yeah.
And I'm happy to share screen. Sarah, you're good?
Yes.
I'll clean everyone's answer. I'm going to assume everyone's good right now. Okay. Stan, you need to share your screen or?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, let me stop my share. Go ahead and share your screen. Okay. So
It's over the piece that's in the middle.
Yeah, so now what we want to do is put it under. So now go to your, hold on, I'm looking for my annotation tools. That they hide sometimes when people share. There we go. Okay, so let's head over to your, oh, you don't have your layers here. That's what's happening. So go up to your toolbar and bring down the layers. You don't have, your layers are missing. So go up to the top, to the menu at the top.
Mm-hmm.
It says window, pull it down. And layers. There we go. There's your layers. Toolbar appeared down there. I
Mhm.
want to grab this from here, from this line, and just pop it into here so that it stays with you. Like from here. Yeah, and then just pop it in right there. Yeah, just drag it. Yeah. But wait until it goes blue. So put the tip of your mouse, pop it. Yeah, there we go. So now there's your layers. Okay, so now this is above your other words, right? So drag it
Mhm.
down, and I'm seeing some words over there. So drag it down, not from there, yeah, not from there, from actually from the layer itself, yeah. And drag it down until it's below these words. And I'm not
I
sure
think it's below the middle one.
until you see a blue line, because right now it's not dropping. You need to, yeah, there. Perfect. Now you see it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good. And now you are in isolation mode. I don't know why, because this shouldn't be grouped. So go ahead and hit your escape key. Yeah. Okay. And now you need to select everyone. Now you need to select these two shapes. So I'm going to do it with him. That way we do it to select these two. So if you just drag across that two, that'll select both of them. So when be careful because you
I got the top one. Yeah.
so go ahead and maybe this is one where click shift click is good to make sure you don't get anything extra. But there you go. Now you got two.
And now it's picking it up.
Yeah. So go ahead and say click over here.
I'm gonna delete that. Oh boy.
Yeah. Undo. Because you had it selected. Click away. So you're in, hit escape to get out of isolation mode. Hit escape. Good. Now click here to click away from anything else that you have selected, like click some neutral spot. Okay. Now click over here on this earth so that for sure you're not touching any part of piece. Yeah. And now hold on oh, you did an undo.
No, see it. What it's doing is when I click there, it picks up all three of the
Yeah, because you have a
sheet.
so say ungroup. For some reason they were grouped. Go over here, and ungroup. You have all your pieces grouped for some reason. So over here, do you see on the far right where I'm saying ungroup? Yeah, click on group. Okay, now click, let me take all my green stuff away because it's hard to distinguish what I'm pointing to anymore. And now go ahead and click somewhere neutral on this. And let's go to your layers again and put it on the bottom. For some reason, go over here to your layers panel. And let's bring it down again. So open it up and drag down till we see your earth.
Hmm.
Drag this up and down so the earth will be pretty obvious.
Now it's not there. Oh, there it is.
Those are the words peace and there's your earth, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so grab your earth and drag them down, down, down until it's low.
Is this the earth?
Yeah. No, is it? Turn it on and turn the eyeball on and off to see. No, that's not turning the eyeball on and off. That's selecting it, which it did select, so it is. But also, I said the eyeball over here to just make sure. Yeah.
There.
Okay,
There
good.
we go.
So now you can select, click, shift, click. Okay, so now there you go. That's, oh, but now you lost that one because you didn't do the shift. So now you have that one. That's good. Now hold on to the shift key and then click over here. So now you have both. Good.
Got 'em.
Cool. All right, has everyone got both selected? Let me show you what we're going to do next. You can do it up from the top, from type, you can do it, but you can also do it over here. It says make clipping mask.
You mean both selected the text and the earth?
And then click on make clipping mask. And now you have clipped that image and your letters to each other. Now, the good news is that if that works where it is, that's good. But if for chance you wanted to move the earth around and you can't, this is now a group. Go back to your layers. You have just made a group out of this. Go to your layers. This is now a group. Go up and down until you find it. There, I think it's probably this one. Yeah. So if you wanted to, you can double click in isolation mode to get to the earth, or you can open up here the group. Open this little arrow. The Stan on the
I s-
left
Mhm.
side, that now I have to delete it because you moved it there, that little circle. Yeah.
There it is.
So now you can select just the earth this way, for example. And now the earth has been selected. See that big box that's around it? That's how big the earth was. Now with your
Mhm.
selection tool, you can put your mouse in here and drag it around and move the earth, which is just the bottom layer, around until it fits a better spot. Click, do it over here. You're on the word letters now. Go back out, yeah, and click and drag. Just drag it around. You're moving your photo. Do you see that?
Yes.
Inside of the
Great.
letter, do you find a good spot for it? Okay, I'm gonna stop my share. I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop your share and I'm gonna go share mine again. And yeah, so select these two, make clipping path. And now, there you go. Now, as opposed to what he did, you can double click, right? To get into isolation mode. Wow, click, double click. And if I move it in this mode, I can't see it in isolation mode, right? Which is why I told him, even though you can get into an individual piece like that, it's much better if you can actually do it in the layers. Because in the layers, you get to select just that piece individually and move it around till you find the right spot. Okay. Sometimes the clouds are not the best corner because then you don't have an edge to it. Anyway, so there you go. World peace, yay. Okay, and I had moved these out of the way. We can put them back in there, but so that's a clipping mask. So now this is all text and this is text. So I could still select my type tool and turn this into peak, right? Because it's still type. So it is still editable. It is still changeable. Are we all good with that? Give me a yes.
No,
If it
no,
works for you. Okay, then share your screen.
okay.
Oh, you can't share until I stop my share. I'm sorry. Share your screen.
Right. Yeah, and all this. Yeah. Mm,
Okay. So you need to go to your selection tool first. You're in your type tool. Cool. And now you need, let me get my, hold on, I need my annotation tools. Here we go. Now you need to select these two. Okay.
Yeah, I
So
got that.
quick way to, well, I don't, the bottom one isn't selected. Yeah. Now you've got both. No, you're not selecting both. Okay. And now you do. And now here we go.
I can go to layers and do
No,
it
no,
that
stop
way.
there. First, you need to make the clipping path.
Okay. There it goes.
Mhm.
Okay, so I had to be, I just couldn't see that on my quick actions, okay?
If you didn't see them in the quick actions, because you didn't have the two selected. You need to have two selected before it turns on. If you have one thing selected, can't clip. Two selected, the option is there. Okay.
Okay,
And now go to your, you have your tools here, everything in such a strange manner. It's hard to, if I were you, I would reset my preferences because, I mean, unless you've been using it this way and you understand where things are, that's good. But
yeah, it's all messed up and I was messing around with
Over
how do I
here.
reset everything?
Yeah, and say reset getting started, which is the one we're using. Down here. No,
Or-
back, go back to, yeah, click on that and reset getting started.
Okay. Yeah, it got all messed up. It's been a mess all day.
Well, guess what? Now you all know. Whenever you get messed up, sorry, I'm eating a bite. So go up to window again and let's pull up some of the tools that were important to us. Yeah, layers. No, hold on. Layers was always there, but it's hiding behind.
Yeah, it's already there.
Drag it over here. There you go. For now, that's all we need. So you're good. So now, you can select your piece. And you can go over here to the layers panel. And you stretch it open. Yep.
So you want me to open that layer?
Yeah, I just wanted you to stretch this down because you have so many layers. It's better.
Like you want to see what's
Yeah.
going on there?
And then,
Want me to add a new layer?
no, I just wanted you to stretch it down to make it big. You have so many layers that why
Yeah.
see them? That's all. Yeah, I like to see them all. That's all. And then here's your earth layer, right? So in order to select it and itself only, you can click on this little circle. Hold on, every time I delete, they all come back. Here, see this little circle right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what will help you select the earth. See how the box?
Yeah, I was doing that. I just couldn't see everything
It's
in my,
important because this is not where you would click. If you click on that, you're not selecting it. Okay, that's why I kept pointing to that little place. Oh,
oh, okay. I thought that was selecting it when you do this and that.
yeah, that's selecting it. Exactly.
Yeah,
People, especially if you come from Photoshop or somewhere else, you try to select here. That's not selecting it. I don't know why, but in Illustrator and in InDesign, they have you select it from there. Okay, so now
okay.
select the earth only, which right now you have both selected. Every time I clear my clearance, you have everything selected. See that? So select only this one by clicking one more time on the earth. There, see how the rest, this one lost its box now? Now
Uh-huh.
you can go in here, and grab it and move it around if you want to.
Oh, okay. Like with my selection tool.
Yeah. So no, I said
Yeah.
here, like now you have to go and select, you touch the letters. So you have to go and reselect just the photo.
That-
Just the photo, yeah. And now over here, don't stop. Don't touch the letters. Touch this.
Okay.
So you-
Touch this, just the image. Okay.
Yeah, there.
Okay.
Okay. Actually, I liked it. Go down because I saw that when you saw the edge of the world. Go down a bit. Keep going down. Keep going down. And at one point you moved it. Keep going down. I'm wondering if that, not so much because we lose. I wonder if when you were seeing that edge of the world there, if that kind of helped us see that it was a world versus just cool colors. Bring it down again a bit more. Keep going down until the edge of the world, a bit more. Yeah, there. I kind of wonder if that, I don't know if you can read that it's the world. I don't know if it's just a thought. Probably not. Probably if you don't know it's a world, you wouldn't be able to tell it's a world. It's probably better moved up a bit more. But anyway, the intention was to use clouds, not the world, but it worked. It's still cool stuff underneath. The whole point is whatever you put under there will work. All right, good. I'm going to stop my share or your share. Anyone else who needs a hand with that? Let me clear your answers. I don't know if I had asked you to give answers to that yet. So if you did, please give me a, oof, my video is off. Give me a yes if the clipping path worked. Looking at the time. Okay. I'm trying to have us do two more things with the time that's left. So okay, the clipping path worked. And that's pretty cool. That's very typical, you know, the word surf in a magazine, and the letters are made out of a wave that's, you know, crashing, or a surfer that's going through across letters. You know, if you think about it, you've seen this effect. That's all it is. It's a very simple clipping path. Now let's grab this last one. And remember I told you that we can't put a gradient into it. I'm kicking on gradients and nothing's happening. So gradients can't go into fonts. They can only do solid colors, or as you saw, you could have put in a gradient.
And I think you need to share your screen.
Oh, thank you. Okay, thank you, thank you. Sometimes when I reshare, I forget. There we go. Thank you. Did we post this clipping path? No, but Moni did. So if you have any other clipping path, oh, Moni, you did a bit of a gradient thing though. You put the photo of I see what you put in there. So I should have done this while I was helping. I'll do that later. Okay. So one way to trick this would be to have a gradient behind it and then to make a clipping path. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So that could work. And I'm going to just show you that. But then I was going to show you something else. So let me first tell you what I mean. I'm going to put a gradient in here, right? And then I'm going to make sure this is just the tricky, using what we just did. I'm going to put it under, I don't know which one it is. I'm going to put it there. And I'm going to select both. Okay. In order to select both, make a clipping mask. So, okay, it worked, right? But the letters themselves didn't get colored, right? So this is exactly the same thing we did, only I made a gradient and clipped it to the letters underneath. So that worked, yeah? Or I'm going to undo that because I want to show you a different way. So I'm going to get rid of that. You've seen it happen. You can make it yourself. You've already done that clipping mask. That's the same process. So we don't need to do it twice. The only difference is that I made a gradient. So if I want this to be a gradient that I can play around and place with individually per letter, that gradient went all the way across. But what if I want an individual gradient in each letter, for example? Well, I'm going to select the word and I'm going to have to create outlines. And this time, instead of telling you to go to type and everything, go over here to the properties panel and there's a quick little action for create outlines. Let's do it that way this time. Remember, once I create outlines, it's not text anymore. It's art. And art can be filled with gradients. Yeah? Now, as long as there's no typos, we're good. And if I go to fill and put in that same gradient, then each individual letter is being considered its own object. And so the gradient, just as if I write a color, all letters get that same color. When I click on a gradient, they each have their individual gradient per letter, which if that's what you wanted, that's great. But what if that's not what you wanted? Now, remember when I said that in the dots over here, I couldn't choose where those dots started or didn't start. In this case, this could work because now if I put that same dotted pattern, I don't remember which one it was. I think it was this one. No, which one was it? That one. Oh, that's interesting. When you fill it with that, the gradient would go individually, but the dots don't. It applies to all. It's okay. We're talking about gradients, and I'll tell you in a minute how to do that with gradient. But anyway, I thought that, yeah, we're going to have to treat them as individual beings. I'm correcting my thought process. Okay, so here's the gradient. If you want it to span the whole word like we did before, then we're going to go to the gradient tool. Remember the gradient tool down here that we used last week? And we're going to drag across, click and drag, or up and down, or corner. And now we can move it as if it were a gradient that's going the individual, whatever direction we want it to go in. So that's the gradient tool. Remember that we could make a box and move that gradient whichever way we wanted? So now it's the word that's gradating versus each individual letter. And it's a choice. This is a gradient that now I can change. I can go over here to my tool panels, to my gradient options, right? These are the ones that we worked with last week. And I could decide that instead of green, I want blue. And I'm going to drop a couple of these out, and I'm going to go from mint green to light green to even lighter green, whatever. So now I have 3 tones of green, for example. I'm going to actually flip that color to here and that color to there. So I'm just playing around over here with colors, but there we go. So now I made it be from that orange one that I started with. I just played around with the gradient tools that we used the other day to get that gradient, but I can still choose to have it be in, oh. Now, since each one of these is an individual letter, if I did have them selected as a group, then I could work with the whole group. But if I'm in each one individually as a letter, then I can have one gradient for one letter and another gradient for another letter. So I'm going to double click until I get to that gradient for that one. Double click on that one for this one. I didn't save it as a swatch. So I can make my own gradients. For this one, I want it to be, I don't know, purple to red, right? And I'm going to save it as its own swatch. Now I can choose to make that letter have that gradient. Oops. I have to isolate it. I forgot. Double click. Once you isolate it, then that can be. Why is it not allowing me the gradient? There. Okay. And so on and so forth. I'm going to give this one that gradient. And it's going to go from here to here. So now I have given each letter in isolation mode a different gradient. Now the gradients are so big that in some of these letters you can't see it. So I'm going to double click and go and make my gradient go from here to here so you can see it better. Right, from here to here. So I'm basically just double clicking until I get to each individual one, and then I'm applying a gradient of one kind or another to each letter. Okay. And this one is going to be, I don't have any other gradient. Let's make one last one gradient, one more gradient. Double click here. I'll have this one be bright red to orange to green. It's kind of an ugly gradient, but there you go. So each one of these gradients has a different, well, they all have linear gradients, but each letter has its own gradient now. Okay, so you can either make the whole thing have a gradient or you can have their own gradients. Combining everything we know. I turned it into outlines, so they were individual pieces. Then I selected each shape as if it were its own star or circle, only they are letter-shaped shapes. And then I applied a gradient to each one at a time in isolation mode.
Diana, I wasn't able to select letter by letter.
Okay, did you convert it into outlines?
I thought I did. Let me see.
Okay, well, the difference will be if the bounding box is this big text one, or if you select it and it's connected to its own thing.
Okay, I'm gonna try again.
And if you do have it that way, then you get to double click until you're inside of it. And in case it's not, you can share your screen and we'll work on that together. I'm looking at the time. Yeah, good. I'm still fine. Do you want to share your screen?
I got it now. Thank you.
Okay. All right, clear your feedback from who knows what question I asked you and give me a screenshot of this if you have it. Give me a yes if it's working. And two of these are text and the other one is shapes. But for all intents and purposes, you can't tell other than that you can't change that word anymore, right? But if that's the word you want, then you're okay with that. So I'm gonna put this screenshot up there. Two top words are still editable type. Top one is filled with a pattern and middle one is a clipping mask. I placed a photo of the earth underneath the text and then with both items selected, I created a clipping mask. Well, never mind that it went uppercase and lowercase, okay. And then the bottom one, it is no longer text. You cannot put a gradient into a typeface. So I converted the text to outlines. After that, I used isolation mode to enter each letter individually and applied a different gradient to each one. Okay, I hate when I click on the uppercase, the shift key when I'm writing and I don't notice and then I end up looking like I'm yelling at you guys, but it's okay. All right, how's it going? Was there any part of this that didn't work? Before we move on, I have I had two more things I wanted to show you, but given that we have 15 minutes left, I might be able to show you only one of them, but that's okay. But I want to make sure that you got this, because what's the point of hurrying through other stuff if this didn't work? You're all good? Give me a yes. You have a question? Please ask. All right, that leaves Karen. You okay?
Yeah, I'm just playing with it, yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, so let's save that file and we have just a few more minutes to show you one thing that is actually different. There's other stuff we can do with text, but right now I want us to create a file, new document, just so that we don't have to create more artboards. It's easier, just say file, new, create. And this last thing is another cool effect that I wanted to show you because it might help later when you're making art. Let's go ahead and select. Oh, let's do part of what we just, let's do this. Let's go A, let's write an A. I'm going to do a little bit of what we just did. Let's write a big old A. And so I wrote the letter A and I made it big. And let's go back to that font that we just used that was so fat. What was it? Arial. No. Here's another big Gabriella heavy, which that's horrible. What did we just use? I think it was Arial Black. And it might be easier to just go back here and copy one of these words and paste it in here so we don't have to recreate it. But here's an A. And then let's copy that by dragging it over. And over here, let's make it a B because it's still text, right? So these are such different letters. I don't know. No, let's make it a Z. That's better. Let's make it a Z. So, and I'm going to leave it uppercase A and uppercase Z. This could be fun. Could be horrible. I don't know. I've never done it this way. just, I get tired of teaching. I teach you the same tool, but I try to teach it to you in different ways. So A and Z. Once you have the A and the Z, and I don't care what font you use, I'm going to save this file as blend modes, but anyway. Just make sure you have the A and the Z. Once you have the A and the Z, select both and create outlines. Because this has to be for shapes. It can't be, this is not for letters. So, but I wanted the shape, instead of making a square, which is boring, and then turning it into making a square in a circle, I'm having us make shapes that look like letters, since we just came from type mode. But be clear that this is just a shape. I happen to be choosing the letter A shape. I could be doing this with a star, with a robot, okay? So you're all good. You gave me an A and a Z, and then you converted to outlines, because it won't work if it's not outlines. Okay, good. Now, let's select a color for the A. I'm going to go with a green, and a letter for the Z. I'm going to go with a purple. Let's go with a blue, a deep blue. Okay, you choose whatever colors you want. I like these two. All right. Go ahead and save if you haven't yet, or you can save later, it doesn't matter. But don't forget, because it's a new file. It's okay, select both, A to Z. And now we're gonna blend these. And I don't know if the blend mode exists in this toolbar. Yep, it is, there it is. Otherwise we would have had it gone up to type and blend, but here's the tool. So let's go to the blend tool, which is these little guys there, and click on it. I know. And we're going to click and drag across these, not click and drag, just click. Well, actually, I think you had to click and drag. I normally don't use the tool. I normally go up to type. It's in the tools. Tool is here. One thing I forgot to do, let's undo that. Or you don't have to undo that, but let's give it a stroke. So you understand what's happening. Let's go back. This as is okay. You can just go give it a stroke. Let's go give it doesn't have to be give it a what stroke could work? I'm gonna give it something totally different. No, I'm gonna give it a deep blue stroke. And I'm gonna make it a mini hairline stroke. And then we're gonna talk in a minute about what this is all about. But right now it looks bizarre, but we're gonna look at this and understand it a little bit better. Actually, maybe I'll have you do it. Hold on to that. If that's where you are, or if you're not there, you'll understand it in a minute. Let's get over here. And even though I said, let's make this be an A and a Z, just to understand it better, let's make a little rectangle first and a little circle down here. Because otherwise this might be confusing to understand the A and the Z. And now let's give it two colors. Let's select them both, just so you know what's happening. Then we can go to the complicated one. And we can go up to Object, Blend, Make, which is the same thing as using that tool. Oh, and again, I needed to give it a stroke. I forgot. Now we'll understand why the stroke matters in a second. Okay, so you're like, well, that's no better than that. Well, watch for a minute. When you select the blend mode, now we have something called blend options over here. You can open the blend options, and this is when it gets fun. So right now we have it set in smooth color. So without the stroke, when we said no stroke, it just blended colors, but I don't want smooth color. I want specified steps. And I want to go down to like 20 steps. I'm going to say okay. So now you can see what's been happening. So let me slow down and undo this and do it again. When you had two shapes, this shape is going to morph into that shape. This is going to turn into that shape. I'm going to select both shapes, and do the blend mode. And this time I did it from Object, Blend, Make. See how blend options are there as well?
We can't see that. That we can't see when you pull down.
Oh, go to okay, Object, Make, Blend. If not, just go to this tool then and do it with the tool bar.
But I selected both and click on blend and nothing happens. I have to click something else.
You have to select both. Here, let me share. If it's not working with the tool, since I don't have time to show you how to do it, then let me undo. Then just do it from here, because then it'll work for sure. Object, Blend, Make. The tool's a little bit trickier. Once you make it,
Yeah, now it worked.
is the blend. Now, this is, in a way, another way of making a gradient, right? But what's happening is that I have a ton of shapes that are slowly converting from there into here. The only way to see those shapes is to give them a stroke, because otherwise you don't see them. But even if you don't give them a stroke, I already gave them a stroke before, let's head over to blend options, which you can also get from Object, blend options if you want. And this whole point was to get you a smooth color, and that's why it has so many versions. But it's like a gradient. But I instead want the shapes. So I'm going to go specified shapes, and let me make it easier. I'm going to make 10 shapes only. And I'm going to say, okay. And now I have 10 shapes where you can see how each one is blending not only color, but also shapes. I could have given them the same color, and then you would see the shape change. Not only that, but let me select, this is a group. If I select the first shape here, double click, isolated mode, and I make it into an oval, see how the whole string is changing? Double click, I'm going to turn this into a square or a tall rectangle. And what's happening is that they are changing together. I'm going to go ahead and use so many of the tools that we've learned. I'm going to go grab the curvature tool and add a little shape to this, right? And suddenly all the shapes are changing. I'm just making this be a different shape to start with, and the shapes keep blending. So it doesn't matter what shape you chose, which is why now if we go back to this one, I had a start on this one. Maybe I should have started, but I had a start with an A and a Z, but there's so many in the way that you can't see that. So let's go ahead and do select the blend mode options, and let's go to specified steps, and let's give this 5 steps, for example. And now you have from A to Z, the steps it takes to get you to have letters. And maybe we can take the stroke off again now that we don't really need it, right? Now, this is a path. There's only one thing I didn't show you yet about path and text, is that you can write text along a path, but this in a way is text. Let me grab my selection, white selection tool, and grab this path and add a curvature, add a point to this path and curve the path. Come on. Trying to add a point to that, and now I'm curving it. I think that the A to Z was a fun idea, but it's not a very good example for teaching. So I'm going to leave that example, go back to this one, and use the curvature tool here to add a path to my path. And now, oh, it's just that I'm using the pen tool. And usually I do this with less options to start with, but basically, I like the thought that you can keep modifying your path to your heart's content with the tools that we've modified. And you can keep, choose the colors, you can change the color of the first one. And suddenly the whole thing changes to green. Ooh, that looks gray. Green to pink, light green to dark green. Change the shapes. select the blend options again and now give it more or less steps, right? 37 steps. Say okay. Then it's smoother. Blend options. Let's go back to like specified steps and let's give it a small amount of steps, but let's choose specified distance. So the distance will be, well, this is already pretty tiny. So let's have it, the distance be point 0.2 or point about 1, just 1 inch. So now these are 1 inch apart each one. This is a 5-inch board, right? So whatever shapes you're creating, and this first shape that I made here is kind of bizarre, but I know. Thank you. Thank you for telling me a class is over. If you need to go. I'm almost done though. I'm not gonna keep you much longer. Just trying to show you different possibilities and how it all changes, because there's one more thing to this. If that's all you want and you wanted to keep the blend, you can keep it in blend mode. But there's one last thing, we can go to the blend modes, which is that we can then go up to object, blend, and expand. And once you expand a blend mode, what you've done is you have separated, it's not a blend mode anymore, and now these are all individual shapes. So this is pretty cool if you're trying to get like many little flowers or many little whatevers is that you're doing, and you give them different similar shapes, but you modify them a bit, and then you break it open, and now you have like 200 little flowers that you can move around, like different, you have different, maybe this wasn't, my idea wasn't here to make leaves, but I kind of ended up with a weird beginning of something that could be a leaf. So you could have this be individual pieces and shapes that are leaves in the background, and you didn't have to make 800 little leaves. You just made a blend mode with 200 shapes, and by the time you expand, you have 200 different leaf shapes, right? And then you move them around, and if you gave it a good gradient, you might have a bunch of different fall colors in those leaves, and each one becomes an individual shape with one of those fall colors. Does that make sense, you guys? That's just an example of how to use it once you expand. I thought this would be fun. I don't know. The letters in between A and Z in the end aren't fun. I thought, hey, we'll get, no, of course we wouldn't get anything that looks like the alphabet, but there you go. You never know. But this is a bit of a better example. So that's blend mode. And I didn't keep the original example, so I can't do that, but I'm going to do this little, that's not a very good screenshot. I'm going to do again. A square over here and a circle over here, and do a screenshot of a basic blend mode. I think 2 colors makes it more easy to see the distinctions. And then select both and blend. Wondering if this tool shows me blends. No, it doesn't. So now with a tool, I just touched each one of the 2 that I want to blend, and that's a good screenshot for blend mode. So I'm going to use that. Let me open the blend options. And I'm going to give you specified steps, 20 steps. And then that's a better screenshot for blend options. Okay, I'm going to use that last one. Okay. I know. So I'm going to head over here, post that, and then we're done. And I have one more thing to say really quickly. I have a class coming up called Create Compelling Content. There's only 9 people in it, but if you guys can take it, I would really appreciate you to sign up. Let me tell you about it in a second, but let me write here, blend modes, and then I'll talk more about it and put the last thing over there. Okay, and when's it coming up? It's create compelling content. Here's the code 45582. And it's December 5th and December 12th, just 2 days on Friday mornings, okay? December 5 and December 12th. So 2 meetings, Friday mornings. Most people can't do Friday mornings, but you guys are taking a Friday morning class, so this might be perfect. 45582, create compelling content. And it's about creating, it's about, it's with that, it's the only class I teach that's kind of art in a way, graphic based, but it's about, it's not using Adobe programs. Although sometimes we use Adobe Express, so I'm going to show some of that, but it's different applications that are free, that are online, that are available. Also, more than that, it's trying to come up with what project you have in mind and pre-planning it, like what kind of content do you need for that particular project that would work. So if you're trying to make something for your business or for a family book or whatever, like what material, where do you get it, what makes a good headline. We're going to be entering the realm of AI. You can't avoid it anymore at this point. And within certain considerations of ethics, like how would you use AI for this? Go, no, that's fine, Stan, don't worry. Cool. So we'll be using AI tools, but not necessarily the AI tools that are part of Adobe, but just what's at large. But we'll also be using just free, what are free content that you can find out there. There's a lot of good vectors that are in existent that you have free access to, that then you modify to make the shape that you want. Maybe you don't know how to make that complicated shape. Well, you get one of the free ones that are already made and you know where to source them from, and then you modify them with the tools that you know. Anyway, there's a lot of information. If you're interested and you can take it, I'd appreciate it. I need 20 people, so we're far from being enough. I still have time till December 5th, but if you know someone who's interested in it or who can sign up, I'm going to send an email to my students reminding me about the class. So hopefully I'll gather 5 or 6 more, and then a few more that people like you guys think about writing up, and hopefully we'll have a class. Okay.
Yeah.
It does say
Do you have information on your spring Illustrator?
yeah, but 1 second. Yes, let me just finish with this. It says that it's in person, which is, I know most of you can't go in person. Don't worry, I will teach it in a Zoom mode. So I will be teaching it at school. People who come to school will be there in person. People who want to be at home will be able to join on Zoom. Okay, so that's just my only thing. So sign up anyway. Let me know you're coming and I'll send you the Zoom link. Okay. So just wanted to say that.
Yeah,
let's-
Dana, I signed up for it and I have to just do it through Zoom. I do have questions on the classes you're teaching on Friday in, is it spring? I believe it's spring.
so someone
Um,
has
Do they
spring.
really go until 1:45 or is that like a misprint?
It's
Like
shorter.
9 to 1:45?
Yeah, it's a shorter, it's only 5 meetings, I believe. So that's why it's till 1:45, but we can do one longer break in the middle for having lunch instead of like a 15 one.
Yeah,
So no problem. We'll handle that.
okay.
The schedule's a bit shorter. I'm not teaching the last few weeks of class of that whole semester because I'll be leaving on another wonderful trip like I did this year. So we've had to scrunch things down, and so there's more hours compressed. Yeah, but we'll make it be logical. Um, and the spring that someone did, was it you who asked about spring or the spring catalog? Is that what you just?
They're asked.
So let me tell you where, because I thought I had it open, but I guess I have it open on my other computer. So let me just do it here. I need to log in because I
Also, when is registration for spring?
December 12th. December 12th is registered.
December 12th, okay.
Yeah. So spring schedule really quickly, non-credit, and then go to my name over here, MUS. Search, and here are all my classes, although they haven't fixed it. The digital text, oh, they did fix it. There is Illustrator. Illustrator is going to be March 3rd through April 15th. And it's so weird that these classes are appearing 3 times. It's because in between these courses, there's spring break. And so they have to put it in twice. So I have lab lecture and lab lecture twice, which is bizarre, but it's one course, you guys. It's crazy. It appears 4 times. People will be so confused. I'm trying to get them to fix that. But for now, it's CB only meet. It's Monday. Oh, it's Monday, Wednesday. Oh, so which one were you talking about? In spring, it's from 5 p.m. to 8:20 p.m. So are you talking about Photoshop is on Friday morning?
Photoshop, yeah.
Yeah, Photoshop is on Friday mornings, and there's 2 different ones. I have this Friday morning. No, this is Photoshop for digital photographer Friday morning, which is the second part of the semester, March 3rd to March 27th. But I have another Photoshop, which is from 9 to 4:45. That's January 30th to March 6th. So it's all Friday mornings will be Photoshop next session. So basically, all of the first week of class starts, we start January 26th. So January 30th to March 6th is Photoshop 1 to 45. And then from March 13th to April 17th is Photoshop for digital photographers, which really helps because sometimes people want more. And so really these people roll over to the next one, and then we'll get much deeper into photography, into Photoshop on those two. But Illustrator is going to be then on here on Monday, Wednesday, 5 p.m. to 8:20 p.m. And I'm also teaching digital newsletter and magazine and digital sign techniques. So those are all Monday, Wednesday evenings. So it's a
It
whole
looks like you flip it. It's like next fall will be Illustrator on Friday morning, like this semester.
trying different things. We're trying different things. It's kind of hard because many people can't do Friday mornings, and lately I've had a hard time getting people here. So Friday mornings for the Photoshop has been pretty consistent. But anyway, Illustrator, a lot of people want to take and they work, and so they can't be available until the evening. So we're moving things around and trying different things. Every semester, the site will be a little bit different. I have been quite often doing Photoshop Friday morning and followed by Illustrator Friday morning, which is what happened this semester.
Yeah.
And if it works, I'll keep it going the following fall. If not, we'll see what happens this spring with those, and we keep trying to figure out what's the best way to get more students in class. A lot of these programs that are a bit more advanced tend to have people who need to take them are people who work and they can't do morning classes, but they can do sometimes a Friday because, Friday morning some people can take off, or they can do evenings. So we're trying to capture that. So we'll see. Can't promise one way or another. We'll see how it works. Okay.
Right. Thank you, Diana.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Diana. It was great.
Having you guys. I'll be emailing you with all the classes, and you can sign up
Okay.
starting December 12th. Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Questions
thank
about any of them, please let me know.
All
All right. Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.